Piston fan. Their slogan was, "We come to work." That's what Detroit about. That's why they used it. It's a team thing. They won 2 championships, a team. There was no star. No mayor can come in here and be a star. It's a team thing. No governor should come in here and think you can do it by yourself. It's a team thing. You got communities. They got ideas, too. The only thing wrong with Detroit, people have lost hope here. Residents, city workers, so much corruption, they lose hope. But I grew up here. I love this city. I think it can come back. I've been working for the city 24 and a half years. Within the last 10 years, we took 4 pay cuts, and then an additional 10% wage cut. I've lost a home.
When you take all of the decisions out of the city of Detroit, all of us, then what do you have? Exactly what we got, a lot of problems. Every time the city seems to fall into a problem, it's always on the backs of us workers.
You wake up out of a dead sleep and you jump behind the wheel and take off driving and try to get everybody there safe, not knowing really what you're pulling up to. I'm not eligible for Social Security, so the pension is my sole salary at this point.
We've been in business here 39 years. We've seen a lot of changes in Detroit. The area was a lot of industry, a lot of city workers. It's getting very tough for the city workers. It's getting tough for us as a business people.
Response times are increasing because of the closing of companies, which takes your insurance rate through the roof. So all the things that affect us affect the citizens.
I worked for the city in different capacities for 29 years. I feel like an old jacket. They use me up and they throw me away. In my condition, nobody's gonna hire me. I'm 68 years old. Half the times, I can't get my blood pressure medicine. It's either feeding myself, blood pressure, or paying bills.
$754. By the time they take all the deductions for I have my car insurance, my house insurance, and my health insurance taken out. So the time they take all that, I'll get about $300 after they take all that out. I don't understand it. I can't see how the governor's allowing this to happen and what they're doing and they want to blame it all on the seniors. Not only the seniors, but the city workers. And we worked hard. I know I worked hard.
I've been in Detroit since 1946. I was 14 years old when I came in. I don't live large at all. I wish I could. I don't know when the last time I've been shopping. I only get $1,100, and I'm 81 years old, and I need every penny that I can get and that I do get. And I'm very, very upset about the idea of them taking away my pensions that I worked 30 years for.
I think it's terrible that they talk about Detroit like they do, because Detroit has been very good to me.
I have a lot of city workers coming in with their uniforms on, Detroit Water Department, Police Department, Fire Department. I get a lot of people, the Border Patrol come in. So if I lose that customer base, I'm going to be in a position where I might have to close down. If they take away their pensions, if they start cutting jobs, it's going to cut into a large percentage of not only our business, but other businesses that are in the city of Detroit. We're here. We've been here for 26 years. We're still trying to do business in the city.
Detroiters are survivors. They tough, they adapt, but only can do so much when your politicians are ahead of you and we're not on the same team. We're not gonna let Detroit be erased, bulldozed, or whatever. We're gonna fight to the bitter end. Detroit gonna survive.
Two anti-government, self-described revolutionaries have shot up a pizza restaurant as well as a Walmart in Las Vegas.
The internationally syndicated political series, The David Pakman Show, provides progressive talk, analysis, and interviews with the nation's youngest radio and television host, David Pakman. Find out more and catch up on all the latest episodes by visiting our website at freespeech.org.
Here we go, friends and neighbors. Again, time out for a little word about Free Speech TV. This is week 2 of our pledge drive. And first thing I got to say is thank you, thank you, thank you. We had a couple of really good days last week in response to the pledge drive. And we are so grateful to those of you who really dug in and made your pledges. And we want to call on now all the rest of you who didn't quite get it done, who put it off until this week or whatever. Now's the time to do it. Now's the time to show your love for free speech by being as generous as you can. I thought about what we're talking about here when I saw this in the New York Times. Look at this full-page ad about Al Jazeera. You know what that thing costs? I'd say probably $60,000 or more. But you know what this is? Al Jazeera can do this because this is all oil money. This is Qatar. Free Speech TV doesn't get any corporate money, doesn't get any government money from the United States government or any other government, and it certainly doesn't get any oil money. We depend entirely on you, our friends and our viewers, to keep this great Free Speech TV going. So we call on you once again just to be as generous as you can at any level that you can help keep Free Speech TV on the air. Me and Stephanie and Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman and all the rest of your friends, we ask you to do it, and do it today. You know the phone number, 877-378-8669, or you can just go online and make your pledge to freespeech.org. And for your generous contributions, we want to send you a little gift. For example, you can help us with $60 a year. That's just $5 a month. We'll send you a Free Speech TV travel mug. If you can help us with $10 a month or $120 a year, that Free Speech TV travel mug and a Free Speech TV T-shirt as well. You'll be the envy of everybody on your neighborhood with that. $240 a year, that's $20 a month. Get this, a Bill Press Show mug, really fancy item, plus a very special gift, an Equal Exchange African gift box. We worked this out with the nuns who run the Panzi Hospital in the Republic of Congo. Part of the money goes to support them as well. And in that gift box is some coffee from the Congo, some soap, a bracelet, some lip balm, and other good stuff. For $360 a year or $30 a month, you'll get the Free Speech TV mug, 2 Bill Press Show mugs, and that African exchange gift box. And again, if you are doing well enough where you can afford $1,000 for Free Speech TV, you love us that much, get your way to Washington, and Carol and I will take you out to dinner, and then the next morning come in and meet the whole team here and watch the show in our studio. Do whatever you can at whatever level you can, and we really, really appreciate it. Again, we got no oil money. We need you. Phone number again, 877-378-8669, or just go online to freespeech.org, and we thank you and we need you.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
We are all on the road to Selma. We all marched across that bridge. Hello, everybody. Monday, March 9. So good to see you today. Hello, hello, hello. And welcome. Welcome to the Bill Press Show. On a beautiful Monday morning here, it is, I got to tell you, weather's starting to heat up in Washington, D.C. It was almost spring yesterday. Felt like it almost. Well, we did have to spring forward. Hope you remember to set your clock. If not, you're in trouble. You're in deep trouble. But wherever you happen to be, I hope you're having starting a good day and hope you had a great weekend. And thank you for joining us here. And a whole new week with a whole new set of issues here on the Bill Press Show. For the next 3 hours, we'll tell you what's going on around the world, around the country, and here in our nation's capital. That's where you find us, in the heart of the action on Capitol Hill and our studio on Capitol Hill. We'll tell you what's going on, and we look forward to hearing from you about what you think about all of this. Your opinions, you've got just as strong opinions as all of us do, and they're worth just as much as all of ours. So give us a call at 866-55-PRESS. Send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show and on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. Whether you're listening on your local progressive talk radio station or watching on Free Speech TV or our video stream, TawkrTV, youtube.com/TawkrTV. And, they found their way back here after the weekend. Peter Ogburn and Lisa Murphy, hello, hello.
Here we are.
Hey, good morning.
Good weekend?
Great weekend, yes, indeed.
Yeah, it wasn't nice yesterday. Almost all the snow disappeared, right? Yesterday.
It's amazing how balmy, 50 degrees feels.
That's right. It was only 50. It was not 70.
Right, but it felt like I felt like it was nice and warm outside. I haven't dealt with single-digit temperatures.
And the snow was disappearing. It's almost safe to walk on the sidewalks now.
Almost.
Yeah,
almost.
Right. There's still little patches here and there, right? But it was good. Alicia Cruz is here on the phones, and Cyprian Bolding, our videographer, here as well. Of course, I got out to see a fun little movie Saturday night.
Yeah.
The second best exotic marigold hotel.
Yes. Oh, you did see that.
If I have the words right. It's
something like that.
Yeah, right. But it's the sequel.
Right.
And it's fun. It's fun. I wouldn't say it's a great movie. The plot never quite resolves itself. Mm-hmm. But they're a great cast of characters that they put together, and they bring them back again just to see Maggie Smith and Judi Dench.
Judi Dench, sure.
It's worth an evening. It's worth the price of admission.
Nice.
The first one was really good.
The first was really good. Yeah, this is good. It's not as good. Is the sequel ever as good?
Never.
Sometimes it is. Rarely. It's the exception, not the
I'm not
rule.
sure I remember one that's as good. But this is good. I'm not trying to put it down. I'm just saying that there's some problems with the plot line, but the performances are outstanding. And there's some great lines. Maggie Smith. I this is not the spoiler. It's just one little line out of the whole movie, but one of my favorite lines. She comes to the United States with the young Indian guy to raise money for their second hotel. It's her first visit to the United States. And when she gets back, so somebody asks her, "So what did you think of the United States?" And she said, "Well, I went with low expectations, and I came back disappointed."
Oh, no.
Yikes.
Oh, God, yeah. It hurts. And how about that Ben Carson? Yeah. We talked about his stupid comment last week about homosexuality being a choice.
Yeah.
And because
all kinds of people go to prison.
Yeah. People go to prison straight and they come out gay. I mean, it got a lot of comment over the weekend. Even from Vice President Biden, who appeared at an LGBT big dinner.
I mean, it's kind of hard to fathom, isn't it? But think about the universal ridicule. That wouldn't have happened 2 years ago, 5 years ago. It matters.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
Yeah, very good
It's a really good point.
And on Saturday night...
You didn't see a whole lot of people rushing to Ben Carson's defense after he
Nobody. Nobody. And even on Saturday Night Live, of course, how could you resist it, right? Michael Shea on the Weekend Update.
Potential Republican presidential candidate Dr. Ben Carson, a neurosurgeon, said this week that homosexuality is a choice because many people go to prison straight and when they come out, they're gay. Kind of like how in that last sentence, Dr. Carson went in as a neurosurgeon and came out as a complete idiot.
Nice.
So true.
Look at that transformation, huh? Yeah, how about it? Scott Bland from the National Journal Hotline will be here on this Monday, as he always is. We'll have reporters in from Washington Post, representative from Emily's List in about the big Hillary flap, and Wayne Pacelle, the head of the the Humane Society, rather, of the United States of America, about the elephants and all kinds of other good issues. We love Wayne Pacelle. It's good to have him in.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah. And Selma, what a powerful, powerful weekend in Selma. What a great speech by President Obama. But first...
This is the Full Court Press.
Let me take over while I mix my cocktail.
You mix up your morning cocktail there. Here's a couple of other stories making news. We go to Miami, where the nation's largest mall is being planned.
No.
It's being called the American Dream Mall. And you thought malls were dead, huh?
Yeah, but the Mall of America is the biggest mall.
This is going to replace the Mall of America
No.
as the biggest mall in America. Again, it's going to be in Miami. There's going to be a theme park mall hybrid, just like the Mall of America. They said there's going to be a Ferris wheel in the middle, and an endless line of chain stores there.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
There's your American dream.
One more reason for not going to Miami.
Two American tourists were caught by authorities at Rome's Colosseum. They were carving their initials into the Colosseum.
No way.
Two women, one managed to carve in a J, and then the other woman managed to carve an N high into the ancient amphitheater's walls before they took a selfie. Because of course they did.
Yeah.
Authorities and officials there spotted them, immediately caught them and kicked them out. But
God, what idiots.
It's very stupid.
Come
That's
on.
sad.
Very, very stupid.
I hope they arrest them. I mean, seriously. Or a very big fine or something. You can't deface historical monuments like the Colosseum. Jesus.
April 18th is Global Citizen Earth Day, and they are going to have a big concert here in Washington, D.C. to commemorate the 45th anniversary of Earth Day. It's Earth Day. No Doubt, Fall Out Boy, Usher, Mary J. Blige, Train, My Morning Jacket, Common, and it's going to be hosted by will.i.am of the Black Eyed Peas.
Wow.
More details coming out as we get a little bit closer, but it's going to be right there on the mall here in Washington.
And James Inhofe is the master of ceremonies?
I'm sorry. I'm pretty sure his invitation is going to get lost in the mail.
Yeah, wow. All right. Yes, indeed. 50th anniversary of the march across the Edmund Pettus Bridge down in Selma, Alabama over the weekend. Of course, it was such a powerful Saturday and Sunday, back-to-back events. Saturday, particularly with President Obama there, with the First Lady, the first daughters, the first grandmother, all leading the march across the bridge, accompanied by, and I think it was a very powerful statement that he was there, former President George W. Bush, former First Lady Laura Bush, again in the front line coming across that bridge.
I mean, the Republicans needed somebody that America recognized out there.
Yeah, exactly. And it's just still shameful that none of the Republican presidential candidates and not one of the Republican leadership in Congress, not John Boehner, not Kevin McCarthy, not Stephen Scalise, not Mitch McConnell, they all had more important things to do, I guess, than be in Selma, Alabama. That's a powerful statement in and of itself. But that's such an important part of American history. I've mentioned this before, I had the honor of going on a congressional delegation 10 years ago with Congressman John Lewis to Montgomery to Birmingham and to Selma, Alabama. And we walked across the bridge, and doing that, and we started in Brown Chapel, where C.T. Vivian gave it this incredibly powerful sermon there. And then, and as did John Lewis. And then he led us from the chapel just like he did 50 years ago. This was the 40th anniversary, across the bridge. Jesse Jackson was there. Maxine Waters was there. That was a big anniversary. This was, of course, an even bigger one. And it was John Lewis himself who was the first speaker yesterday, just before President Obama, talking about what it was like that day 50 years ago.
We were beaten, tear gas. Some of us was left bloody right here on this bridge. 17 of us were hospitalized that day. But we never became bitter or hostile. We kept believing.
Oh, God, he's so great. He really is.
I
His voice.
can listen to him read the phone book.
I know.
But to have him tell that story.
Yeah.
I have goosebumps right now.
And who would have thought, right? I mean, like 50 years later, they'd be walking across that bridge again with the... I mean, remember, they could not even vote. African Americans could not even vote at that time. And today, they're walking across the bridge with the first African American president of the United States. I mean, it's incredible. And then the president spoke, and I think maybe the best speech ever of his.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah, certainly one of the most powerful speeches ever, where the president, first of all, he also, and he saluted John Lewis as his hero, and he also talked about the people, the kind of people that gathered together on that bridge 50 years ago.
We gather here to honor the courage of ordinary Americans willing to endure billy clubs and the chastening rod, tear gas and the trampling hoof. Men and women who, despite the gush of blood and splintered bone, would stay true to their North Star and keep marching towards justice.
Yeah.
It's been a while since we heard that, Obama.
Oh, yeah, no. This is the preacher Obama.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. He's got that cadence.
Yep. Yeah.
Absolutely.
It's been a while since we heard that.
and he pointed out, that these people were not political big shots who were doing this.
The Americans who crossed this bridge, they were not physically imposing, but they gave courage to millions. They held no elected office, but they led a nation.
And the president said, I love this phrase, that we have gathered here together. That word "we," as he calls it, the most powerful word in the English lexicon.
The single most powerful word in our democracy is the word "we." We the people, we shall overcome. Yes, we can. That word is owned by no one. It belongs to everyone.
Oh, God, yeah, he really lifted everybody up there. It was a marvelous moment, but I'd love to get your take on it. I'm sure you watched the speech, watched a lot of the coverage. 866-55-PRESS is the toll-free number. Let's talk about it here this Monday, the day after Selma 50th anniversary. But there was sadly a shadow over that event, a big shadow. Current events cast a big shadow over that event, and at least three different ways. One, again, that march, when it finally took place and went from Selma to Montgomery, that built the kind of public support and the support in Congress needed to get the Voting Rights Act passed. And so that march resulted in the Voting Rights Act of 1965. And yet here we are today with voting rights slipping back because of a decision by the Supreme Court that said states can basically do what they want to restrict the voting rights of ordinary Americans. And we've seen that, 25 different states rolled back access to the polling place, either by shortening the early voting time or the hours of voting time, or making sure that students couldn't vote, or poor people couldn't vote, or African Americans couldn't vote, requiring a photo ID. We are going backwards in terms of voting rights. We're repudiating the legacy of Selma today, thanks to this Roberts Supreme Court. The first big shadow over that event. The second thing was that, and the president referenced this too, just a couple of days before the report before the march, comes this report about police departments around the country, that it's not just Ferguson, Missouri, but Ferguson, bad enough. But in the New York Times had a big article over the weekend about this. Police department after police department after police department, where the police department is in many, many communities where there's a large African-American population, the police department predominantly white, and they feed on the black population with all kinds of extraordinary fines and everything to keep their operation going, abusing. And then the third shadow, of course, is what happened in Madison, Wisconsin over the weekend. Yet another unarmed black teenager shot and killed by a white police officer in his apartment. And here we go again. Just, how many times can it happen? How many white police officers can shoot young, unarmed black teenagers and get away with it? And you know what? This guy in Madison will just the same way that Darren Wilson did in Ferguson.
Hard to see how he doesn't if history is any indication.
No, absolutely. So there it is. I mean, which gave all the meaning necessary, I think, all the more meaning to President Obama's maybe most powerful statement out of Selma, that the march ain't over yet.
We just need to open our eyes and our ears and our hearts to know that this nation's racial history still casts its long shadow upon us. We know the march is not yet over.
The march is not yet over. What do you think about Selma? Where do we go from here? 866-55-PRESS. Yes, we made a lot of progress. Got a long way to go still. 866-55-77-377. Let's talk about it.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Here we go, friends and neighbors. Again, time out for a little word about Free Speech TV. This is week 2 of our pledge drive. And first thing I got to say is thank you, thank you, thank you. We had a couple of really good days last week in response to the pledge drive. And we are so grateful to those of you who really dug in and made your pledges. And we want to call on now all the rest of you who didn't quite get it done, who put it off until this week or whatever. Now's the time to do it. Now's the time to show your love for free speech by being as generous as you can. I thought about what we're talking about here when I saw this in the New York Times. Look at this full-page ad about Al Jazeera. You know what that thing costs? I'd say probably $60,000 or more. But you know what this is? Al Jazeera can do this because this is all oil money. This is Qatar. Free Speech TV doesn't get any corporate money, doesn't get any government money from the United States government or any other government, and it certainly doesn't get any oil money. We depend entirely on you, our friends and our viewers, to keep this great Free Speech TV going. So we call on you once again just to be as generous as you can at any level that you can help keep Free Speech TV on the air. Me and Stephanie and Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman and all the rest of your friends, we ask you to do it, and do it today. You know the phone number, 877-378-8669, or you can just go online and make your pledge to freespeech.org. And for your generous contributions, we want to send you a little gift. For example, you can help us with $60 a year. That's just $5 a month. We'll send you a Free Speech TV travel mug. If you can help us with $10 a month or $120 a year, that Free Speech TV travel mug and a Free Speech TV T-shirt as well. You'll be the envy of everybody on your neighborhood with that. $240 a year, that's $20 a month. Get this, a Bill Press Show mug, really fancy item, plus a very special gift, an Equal Exchange African gift box. We worked this out with the nuns who run the Panzi Hospital in the Republic of Congo. Part of the money goes to support them as well. And in that gift box is some coffee from the Congo, some soap, a bracelet, some lip balm, and other good stuff. For $360 a year or $30 a month, you'll get the Free Speech TV mug, 2 Bill Press Show mugs, and that African exchange gift box. And again, if you are doing well enough where you can afford $1,000 for Free Speech TV, you love us that much, get your way to Washington, and Carol and I will take you out to dinner, and then the next morning come in and meet the whole team here and watch the show in our studio. Do whatever you can at whatever level you can, and we really, really appreciate it. Again, we got no oil money. We need you. Phone number again, 877-378-8669, or just go online to freespeech.org, and we thank you and we need you.
This is the Bill Press Show.
27 minutes after the hour this Monday morning, coming off a really powerful and dynamic and emotional weekend in Selma, Alabama, the 50th anniversary of that march to Montgomery, starting out across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, which, of course, it was the third attempt to cross the bridge. The first time ended up in Bloody Sunday. The second attempt, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who had arrived on the scene, obeyed the court order and marched halfway across the bridge and then turned around a couple of days later. They had court permission and police protection, and they started the march to Montgomery. What's it all mean? Jessica from Caribou, Maine. Hi, Jessica.
Hi, you missed one more shadow, and it was literal. It was a billboard. It says, "Visit Selma's War Between the States Historic Site," and Bedford Forest, with the picture of the Confederate general who founded the Ku Klux Klan, and you could see that billboard from the bridge.
Oh, I didn't see that, Jessica. Oh, man.
The war between the states.
The war
I'm surprised they
between
didn't
the
call
states.
it the war of northern aggression.
Yeah, right. You know, you would think somebody would have had the sense to maybe get that out of the way. Talk about a black eye on Selma. President Obama and John Lewis leading the way. What's it mean to you? 866-55
This is the
Press.
Bill
More coming
Press
up.
Show.
Here we go, friends and neighbors, again. Time out for a little word about Free Speech TV. This is week 2 of our pledge drive. And first thing I got to say is thank you, thank you, thank you. We had a couple of really good days last week in response to the pledge drive. And we are so grateful to those of you who really dug in and made your pledges. And we want to call on now all the rest of you who didn't quite get it done, who put it off until this week or whatever. Now's the time to do it. Now's the time to show your love for free speech by being as generous as you can. I thought about what we're talking about here when I saw this in the New York Times. Look at this full-page ad about Al Jazeera. You know what that thing costs? I'd say probably $60,000 or more. But you know what this is? Al Jazeera can do this because this is all oil money. This is Qatar. Free Speech TV doesn't get any corporate money, doesn't get any government money from the United States government or any other government, and it certainly doesn't get any oil money. We depend entirely on you, our friends and our viewers, to keep this great Free Speech TV going. So we call on you once again just to be as generous as you can at any level that you can help keep Free Speech TV on the air. Me and Stephanie and Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman and all the rest of your friends, we ask you to do it, and do it today. You know the phone number, 877-378-8669, or you can just go online and make your pledge to freespeech.org. And for your generous contributions, we want to send you a little gift. For example, you can help us with $60 a year. That's just $5 a month. We'll send you a Free Speech TV travel mug. If you can help us with $10 a month or $120 a year, that Free Speech TV travel mug and a Free Speech TV T-shirt as well. You'll be the envy of everybody on your neighborhood with that. $240 a year, that's $20 a month. Get this, a Bill Press Show mug, really fancy item, plus a very special gift, an Equal Exchange African gift box. We worked this out with the nuns who run the Panzi Hospital in the Republic of Congo. Part of the money goes to support them as well. And in that gift box is some coffee from the Congo, some soap, a bracelet, some lip balm, and other good stuff. For $360 a year or $30 a month, you'll get the Free Speech TV mug, 2 Bill Press Show mugs, and that African exchange gift box. And again, if you are doing well enough where you can afford $1,000 for Free Speech TV, you love us that much, get your way to Washington, and Carol and I will take you out to dinner, and then the next morning come in and meet the whole team here and watch the show in our studio. Do whatever you can at whatever level you can, and we really, really appreciate it. Again, we got no oil money. We need you. Phone number again, 877-378-8669. Or just go online to freespeech.org, and we thank you and we need you.
Connect with The Bill Press Show on Twitter. Follow us at BP Show and tweet using the hashtag WatchingBP. This is The Bill Press Show.
You bet it is. On a Monday, March 9, The Bill Press Show, brought to you today, coming to you live from Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. Brought to you today by the National Education Association and their dynamic new president, Lily Eskelsen Garcia. The Good Teachers of America, members of the NEA, creating great public schools for every student in America, keeping those schools going. You bet. Find out more about their good work at their website, NEA.org. We're talking about the big events in Selma over the weekend, and yet the unfinished work here in America when it comes to racial equality, made very apparent by the Justice Department's report on Ferguson and other police departments just at the end of last week, and by yet another shooting of an unarmed black teenager by a white police officer, this time in Madison, Wisconsin, of all places. And by the way, before we get into that, just a quick little note on the latest on the Hillary email scandal. Did you see Lindsey Graham? What Lindsey Graham said yesterday on Meet the Press? Now, Lindsey Graham was senator from Republican from South Carolina, of course. He was a member of Congress for 8 years. He's been a senator for 12 years.
Yep.
He says he has never sent one email. What a Luddite. I mean, is it possible today with someone in his position not to know how to send an email?
Quote, I don't email. No, you can have every email I've ever sent. I've never sent one.
But I heard he has a pigeon.
Like, how can you? Yeah. In this day and age.
In this day, how do you communicate? Only by phone calls? You can't.
Written letters?
Writing?
Who writes a letter?
Oh, he writes love notes to John McCain. Maybe he and John McCain McCain's text.
Maybe.
I hope they don't sext.
If he can text, he should be able to email. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not that far of a leap.
There are things that I don't know how to Instagram, for example. I could, but I just never get into it. But I mean, emailing is pretty basic, right?
Yeah, it's pretty. Yeah.
Anyhow, so on the Selma situation, yes, it would be so great, right, if we could just say, there it is. We celebrate this. Remember that day when not everybody could vote, and what great progress we've made. And yet, we did make a lot of progress at that time, and we're going backwards today. We're going backwards in state after state after state after state who are making it more difficult to vote, not easier for all Americans to vote. It's just in so many areas. We're going backwards when it comes to Trump. People are trying to take it backwards when it comes to immigration. They're trying to take it backwards when it comes to the Affordable Care Act, which has been the law of the land for 5 years. But on this, on what happened with the voting rights, particularly, it's a disgrace. And I thought President Obama hit absolutely the right mood in Selma, saying just that phrase: "The march isn't over yet. We've got a lot of work to do." And starting in the police departments of America, maybe is where we start. In that report about Ferguson, for example, they collect $1.7 million in a city of 21,000. That it means they collect the police department $80 per resident in court fines and fees last year. $80 per resident. For jaywalking, all this stuff, right? But they're not the worst. There's a city right up the road called Edmondson, 5 miles away, brings in nearly $600 a year in court fines for every resident. This is highway robbery, literally.
And the problem with this is they build it into their budget, right? Like they build it into, they expect this, and so they have to keep that machine going.
Mm-hmm.
So there's no backing off of it for them.
No,
they just keep going. It only gets worse and worse and worse.
But this really provides some insight into what happened with Michael Brown. He was jaywalking. Mm-hmm. Darren Wilson saw an opportunity to get $80 fine, probably.
Yep.
Larry's out down in Niceville, Florida. Hey, Larry.
Hey. The reason the Republicans boycotted that march is because they want to get justice for Kenneth Gladney and the hot dog vendor in Wisconsin, because hate crimes matter, and it doesn't matter who does them, even if it's Democrats. You can't cover them up. Kenneth Gladney, they need to name that bridge the Kenneth Gladney Bridge. Bring attention.
Yeah, you know what, Larry? I appreciate the call, but I'm lost.
Yeah,
I don't know who the hell I don't know who the hell you're talking about. I'll tell you one thing. They do need to rename the bridge.
That's a good point.
Because, Edmund Pettus was the supreme leader, or whatever they call him, of the KKK in Alabama. And it's the fact that they haven't renamed that bridge in the last 50 years. I think that says a lot about racial attitudes in Alabama.
In the South and in Alabama, absolutely, yeah.
And so does that billboard, by the way.
Yeah.
Which I didn't know about until our good friend from up in Caribou, Maine. Dan is in McKeesport, Pennsylvania. Hey, Dan, what's your take?
My take is a Vietnam veteran. I put my life on the line for my country, and the Selma marchers did the same thing, and we both put our lives at risk. And as Americans, we have the right to do this, okay? The government can't stop us from marching with petitions of what we believe in. As a Caucasian, I've always supported black people's movement, because there but for the grace of God go I. Who's better, who's worse? No, we're all just humans, and it's important we all, fight this divide and conquer thing. We're all the people. It's we the people, not it the money, Bill.
Well said, Dan. Well said. Absolutely. And, that's an excellent point, that the people marching across that bridge, they were putting their lives on the line, just like our brave men and women like Dan, who put on the uniform and put their lives on the line for the same freedoms, right, in a different way. And the president also made the point yesterday that that John Lewis and his colleagues there, and then eventually led by Martin Luther King Jr., were proving that nonviolence works.
What they did here will reverberate through the ages. Not because the change they won was preordained. Not because their victory was complete. But because they proved that nonviolent change is possible.
Nonviolent change is possible. Yeah. And, you know, it's the cops who had all the tear gas, all the clubs, all the horses, all the power, and the other guys, I mean, John Lewis had his backpack with an apple. What was it? An apple, a toothbrush, and a book on government.
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
As President Obama said, that's all you need for a night in jail. But those people who had nothing but what they had, you know, and they were the winners. They ended up winning it, not the brutal cops. Joe is out in Phoenix, Arizona. Hey, Joe, welcome. Nice to talk to you.
Hey, so I think it's a good thing that they haven't changed the name of the bridge, because if people know the story behind the name, they realize what a scene of victory that was. That you know, these people marched across a bridge named after a person, you know, a hateful person, and then they stepped into history and made a huge step for freedom.
Well, I can hear that.
I hear that.
Yeah, you know, it shows how far we've come.
The first African-American president of the United States walked across that bridge yesterday.
Yeah.
Walked across a bridge named after a white supremacist.
Right. I hear that. That's another, and that's maybe a more positive way of looking at it. It certainly makes a statement about who's in charge now, right, if you will, and how far we come. And I hope that Edmund Pettus rolled in his grave.
I hope so, man.
All right, Keith in Gulf Shores, Alabama. Hey, Keith.
Good morning. I have two comments. One was, it was reported that 30% of registered voters in Selma voted in November.
I know. And by the way, that's really sad and disgraceful. I saw some residents of Selma yesterday talking about that. They said, we've got some work to do right here at home to tell people how important it is to exercise that right to vote. Good point, Keith. What's your second point?
The second point is we need to engage in voter registration campaigns to encourage people to get out and get registered, despite whatever obstacles are in their path. We need to encourage people who are not registered to vote.
Absolutely. In fact, the two go together, Keith, and I've done a lot of that in my life. I've led a lot of voter registration campaigns. Got to get people registered to vote, and then most importantly, you've got to get them out to vote. I have zero patience for anybody in this country who does not vote. You've heard me say before, I'm of the school, use it or lose it, baby, just like in Australia. You must vote, and if you don't vote, you pay a great big fat fine. With that, we'll move on and talk to Scott Bland about the political news of the day. Scott Bland from the National Journal Hotline.
This is the Bill Press Show.
You know, sometimes when I'm walking down the street, I'm not necessarily looking out and seeing all these water-wasting lawns and people that aren't as connected to their neighbors and their lives as they could be. I'm walking down the street looking, going, edible oases, rainwater, fed landscape, and just looking at the possibility of these sort of landscapes up and down the streets of neighborhoods and communities all across this world. Small actions do ripple, and they add up, and they have a cumulative impact. And so when you're building upon your small, mindful actions, you know, you have the confidence and the ability to take on something a little bit greater. So that could be a nice... this in the context of where we're at as a planet with climate change and these really big issues and people that are more disconnected and less skilled than ever, it becomes even more amazing and powerful how much of a solution this is to design these ecological gardens and to come together with shared vision and shared voice. There's never been a time where your choices have mattered more. Doing something as simple as us transforming a landscape creates a model that anybody could look at far and wide, and you're sharing food and connecting and building skills together in your own neighborhood. It's a richer way to live in normal times, but in the new normal of climate change and erratic weather and economic upheaval, it becomes essential. Whether it's me, you, Gandhi, Che, MLK, Willy Wonka, whoever, past, present, or future, the power of our daily actions is all that we have. You know, and like our community said, give me a place to stand and a lever long enough and I'll move the world. And that's what those simple actions do. They move the world every day.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
On your radio, on TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
Here we go, 13 minutes now before the top of the hour. Yes, indeed, in addition to all the news of the day, it was there's a lot of political events buzzing over the weekend. Literally a cattle call out in Iowa of the Republican presidential candidates. They all went out there because some great big, rich agriculturalists in Iowa invited them all to come out and talk about farm policy. You know, most of them know nothing about it. They have to go out there and present. Imagine
it's going to be a game changer in 2016, Bill.
Chris Christie, right, out there to talk about farming. Right. What does he know? Scott Bland follows it all for us at the National Journal Hotline, editor-in-chief. Hello, Scott. Good Monday morning.
Hello. Thank you.
How's everything going? Before we get out to Iowa, we got a little political news brewing right here in our backyard in the state of Maryland, with Barbara Mikulski announcing that she's retiring from the Senate last week. We've got a big contest, it looks like, on our hands.
Yeah, absolutely. So, you know, Mikulski choosing to retire after I believe 30 years in the Senate. So, two members of Congress, two members of the House of Representatives who looked like they were climbing the ladder in Democratic leadership there are jumping in the race to replace her. First, Congressman Chris Van Hollen has already jumped in, and then the Washington Post reported Sunday night that Donna Edwards is preparing to make an announcement that she's running as well early this week. And so that's going to set up a rare kind of high-powered Democratic Senate primary right in the backyard of a lot of political reporters. So that's going to be really fascinating to watch. It looks like Edwards is going to be entering early this week.
And so she has made. I know she was thinking about it. She has made up her mind. Washington Post says.
Yeah, they reported last night that, and actually it was interesting. There were some tweets flying around yesterday. An NBC reporter was jogging over the weekend and ran into a big camera crew filming something with her over by National Harbor, so it looks like something's brewing.
How funny is that?
Yeah,
that's too funny.
Right. Well, she lives in National Harbor, and we've said before the two most frequent guests on our program in studio. Members of Congress are Chris Van Hollen and Donna Edwards. So this is going to be a tough one for the Bill Press Show. We're just going to have to Be right down the middle.
That's going to be a crazy race.
But you know what? They are both great, great people, and I'd be excited with either one of them in the U.S. Senate. It looks like we also have a big race coming up in Ohio. Ted Strickland coming back, huh?
That's right. And he's running for Senate. There were some questions for the first couple months of the year about whether or not he was actually going to do it. He pulled the trigger, and now just this morning, it looks like he secured the endorsement of Senator Sherrod Brown, which may end up being a big deal because he's right now facing a primary from this kind of 30-year-old up-and-coming Cincinnati city councilman who everyone assumed was going to step aside right away if Strickland got in the race. But this guy, P.G. Sittenfeld, he raised $500,000 in his first few weeks in. People like Strickland a lot, but Sittenfeld represents a lot of stuff that Strickland can't, being kind of a fresh face and stuff like that.
Right. Former governor, of course, Ted Strickland, defeated by John Kasich when he was up for re-election, and has been at the Center for American Progress as head of their action program, whatever it's called. Just a quick sidelight. A month or so ago, maybe longer now, I went to a book signing by Lily Eskelsen Garcia when her book came out about rabble-rousers.
Sure.
And Ted was there, and he and I had a margarita at the bar where he told me, I'm thinking about running for the Senate. What do you think? And so, we kicked that around. But I left there thinking he might not run. I guess I didn't encourage him one way or the other. We just talked about what it would mean to make that decision, obviously. He's, as Scott just told us, he's pulled the trigger. Scott, I got to get your take. How badly do you think the email flap hurts Hillary Clinton?
It's a little hard to tell. I'm inclined to agree, at least at this point, with the people who point out that no voter who was potentially persuadable or not is really kind of paying attention to this right now. However, I think it does kind of outline and re-highlight some of the things that make people so nervous about the Clintons in general, right? And it also, it has we'll have to continue seeing how long this plays out for. I think there were some people last week who were hoping that this was going to be a 2 or 3 day story.
Oh, below.
It's clearly not.
Yeah. No. Exactly.
And now the question is how it continues to affect the rollout and so on of her eventual campaign. The collection of outside groups she has that have popped up to defend her are great for kind of defending previous stuff that's already out there. It's a little more difficult for non-coordinated groups to coordinate a rapid response to a new story, and so that's ended up being kind of a tricky situation for them.
Right. What's interesting to me is that almost everybody has now had some comment about this, including Bill Clinton himself and the President of the United States and Senator Dianne Feinstein and on and on and on. The only person who hasn't said anything is Hillary herself. And maybe she's going to have to step up here. I think she will. Hey, Scott, good. We never even got to the Iowa cattle call, but don't worry about it. It was just another Republican group in Iowa. We'll talk about that next time. Thanks, Scott, for being with us. All right.
Take care.
See ya. NationalJournal.com, the hotline.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Tune into Free Speech TV for Democracy Now!, a national, independent, award-winning news program bringing you people and perspectives rarely seen on corporate media.
I'm the retired bishop with the Episcopal Church as the bishop for all chaplains in federal service. I read that there was a group of people that represented a sense of injustice that I had. We'd lost Zuccotti. There was a kind of a hope that maybe Trinity Church would be gracious and give refuge. We picked this day where we would gather and demonstrate that Trinity was closing its ears to what was happening. we marched around the block, and I realized that, my goodness, they're carrying a ladder. And I thought, well, this is the moment. You could feel a spiritual presence. You could feel a certain something. And then the cops came in. It got brutal.
I'm with you right here. Robin, I'm here.
The church needed, in this moment in history, to stand alongside of these protesters. The truth of Christ is found in the pews, is found in the institutional church, but it is also found on the streets. It's found in the honesty and the integrity, the insistence of people that you find in Occupy Wall Street.
Tune in to Gay USA with hosts Ann Northrup and Andy Hum for in-depth coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender news. Watch Gay USA every week, only on Free Speech TV.
What the frack?
What the frack?
What the frack?
What the frack?
President Obama, are you fracking kidding me?
Reopen the EPA studies.
In Texas, Wyoming, and Pennsylvania.
Fracking pollutes our oceans.
Fracking poisons our water. Fracking makes climate change worse.
Fracking relies on toxic chemicals that cause cancer.
Ban fracking now.
Ban fracking now.
Go on. Ban it.
Ban fracking now.
Please.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Wes Lowery from the Washington Post is in Selma. Joins us at the top of the next hour. Peter.
So on Twitter, Hillary Clinton, at Hillary Clinton, for this whole time that she's been on Twitter, has had the photo, the famous photo of her looking at her BlackBerry while she's on the phone, or while she's on a plane.
With the dark glasses on.
Text from Hillary came from, right? And so people were kind of pointing out, with all this whole email scandal, it's a little odd that she has that up there. So yesterday, she put out a little tweet, said, "See my new profile pic to raise awareness on how far we've come in reaching equal rights for women and girls worldwide. It is now just a blank avatar with not-there.org. Nice way to get out from under that.
But you know what? She may take it down from her website. That photo is not going away. Or the other hundreds of photos of her looking at her BlackBerry.
This is the Bill Press Show.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
Tune in to Gay USA with hosts Ann Northrup and Andy Hum for in-depth coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender news. Watch Gay USA every week, only on Free Speech TV.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. You know, but it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, you know, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Here we go, friends and neighbors, again. Time out for a little word about Free Speech TV. This is week 2 of our pledge drive. And first thing I got to say is thank you, thank you, thank you. We had a couple of really good days last week in response to the pledge drive. And we are so grateful to those of you who really dug in and made your pledges. And we want to call on now all the rest of you who didn't quite get it done, who put it off until this week or whatever. Now's the time to do it. Now's the time to show your love for free speech by being as generous as you can. I thought about what we're talking about here when I saw this in the New York Times. Look at this full-page ad about Al Jazeera. You know what that thing costs? I'd say probably $60,000 or more. But you know what this is? Al Jazeera can do this because this is all oil money. This is Qatar. Free Speech TV doesn't get any corporate money, doesn't get any government money from the United States government or any other government, and it certainly doesn't get any oil money. We depend entirely on you, our friends and our viewers, to keep this great Free Speech TV going. So we call on you once again just to be as generous as you can at any level that you can help keep Free Speech TV on the air. Me and Stephanie and Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman and all the rest of your friends, we ask you to do it, and do it today. You know the phone number, 877-378-8669, or you can just go online and make your pledge to freespeech.org. And for your generous contributions, we want to send you a little gift. For example, you can help us with $60 a year. That's just $5 a month. We'll send you a Free Speech TV travel mug. If you can help us with $10 a month or $120 a year, that Free Speech TV travel mug and a Free Speech TV T-shirt as well. You'll be the envy of everybody on your neighborhood with that. $240 a year, that's $20 a month. Get this, a Bill Press Show mug, really fancy item, plus a very special gift, an Equal Exchange African gift box. We worked this out with the nuns who run the Panzi Hospital in the Republic of Congo. Part of the money goes to support them as well. And in that gift box is some coffee from the Congo, some soap, a bracelet, some lip balm, and other good stuff. For $360 a year or $30 a month, you'll get the Free Speech TV mug, 2 Bill Press Show mugs, and that African exchange gift box. And again, if you are doing well enough where you can afford $1,000 for Free Speech TV, you love us that much, get your way to Washington, and Carol and I will take you out to dinner, and then the next morning come in and meet the whole team here and watch the show in our studio. Do whatever you can at whatever level you can, and we really, really appreciate it. Again, we got no oil money. We need you. Phone number again, 877-378-8669. Or just go online to freespeech.org, and we thank you and we need you.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
We are all on the road to Selma, marching across that bridge over the weekend. Hello, everybody. Welcome on this Monday, March 9. Welcome to the Bill Press Show. So good to see you today out there in Radioland on your local progressive talk radio station. We are there with you coast to coast. And so good to see so many of you on Free Speech TV, looking sharp this morning. Thank you for making us your choice in the morning to bring you up to date on all the news of the day and to hear from you, engage you in conversation about the events of the day. We'll be here with you at Free Speech TV and here with you on your local progressive talk radio station, and you can join us at 866-55-PRESS. That's our toll-free number. You can join us on Twitter at BP Show and send your comments, as well as on Facebook at facebook.com/Bill Press Show. The team here in place, led by me and Bill Press, Peter Ogburn and Elisa Murphy right here.
Hello, Bill.
Hey, good morning.
With Alicia Cruz on the phones and Cyprian Bolding, our videographer, on the video cam. Got the lights and the cameras on and keeping us looking good on Free Speech TV and on our worldwide video stream. TawkrTV. We, you know what I saw at the Easter market? It's that season, right? It was a nice day yesterday. Mm-hmm. Temperature got up to the 50s. Most of the snow melted. Easter market was very, very busy here, and there were the Girl Scouts.
Yeah, I've seen it.
Tis the season.
Tis the season. Yep. So Girl Scouts up in New Hampshire. They tried something new. The drive-through.
Oh, wow.
Girl Scout cookies, and then they had girls out front who were, kind of getting attention of drivers to drive through, pick up their drive, and apparently worked very well. Here's how the Girl Scout leader describes it.
We have our girls standing out with their light, colorful posters and trying to do fun things to draw people in, dancing and trying to yell out, buy cookies.
And it worked. Listen to what they ended up selling.
Our selling has been through the roof. I'd say we've sold close to probably 1,000 boxes. We've probably doubled what we did our last booth sale.
You can't resist buying Girl Scout cookies.
You really can't.
Yeah.
That's pretty smart considering how cold New Hampshire can be.
Yeah. No, the drive-in, right? Don't have to get out of the car.
And the best Girl Scout cookie flavor, the correct answer is tag-along.
Really?
Except no substitutes.
Oh, okay.
The chocolate peanut butter, those are the greatest.
What's funny is also, I think most Girl Scout cookies are sold by the parents who are helping their girls, Because now, like at the White House, right, in the press corps, it used to be April Ryan. She was the one. And she'd come in. I mean, you couldn't say no, right? She'd come in the gate with boxes of Girl Scout cookies. This year it's Ed Henry.
Oh, really?
From Fox News,
Nice.
Yeah. I don't know. April's girls are older now, I guess, or something, whatever.
I used to knock on many a door, and I was very successful.
You know what? I'll bet she was, Lisa, I bet she was
I could go to the same house my sister was turned down on and sell 2 boxes.
No.
Really?
Yes.
Oh, man. Okay. Do you have any for sale this year?
No. I wish.
I would buy some.
Okay, we're going to start out this hour with Wes Lowery from the Washington Post, who is in Selma for his on-the-scene update here. Later, from Emily's List, Marcy Stech will be in, and then Wayne Pacelle, head of the Humane Society of the United States. But first, Peter.
This is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple of other stories making news. We go to the weekend box office to see what was number one at the movies. Number one this week was Chappie. debuting this week. The robot movie. I'm not going to go see it. It looks pretty terrible, but it made $13.3 million.
Okay, how did Exotic Marigold Hotel do?
Bill, I'm glad you asked. The second best Exotic Marigold Hotel in its debut weekend made $8.6 million, which put it in third place. Second was Focus, which has already been out for a week. They made $10 million.
That looks really stupid.
Yeah, it looks pretty dumb.
I'm glad to help out the second best Exotic Marigold Hotel. God, such a tortured name. But anyway, it's a very fun movie. Go see it.
That's why I didn't go see the first one, and that's why I'm not going to see the second one.
No.
It's because of the name alone. I'm not going to go up and order a ticket to the second best Exotic Marigold Hotel.
Just say Marigold Hotel.
They'll know what I'm talking about. Back in 2012, a helicopter flight over Honduran forest saw what looked like signs of an ancient tribe. Years later, archaeologists have discovered 2 lost cities hidden deep in the La Mosquitia forest in Honduras. They said that it's filled with artifacts, signs of civilization. There's nobody there now, but they're like half human, half jaguar hybrid paintings, right? So 2 ancient cities we had no idea they were around, found in Honduras.
This could be the next Tikal.
Yeah, right.
They found it. Yeah, absolutely.
And if you want to go see Prince, he is going out on the road for a new tour in a very unconventional way. It's called the Hit and Run Tour. It's going to start in Louisville, Kentucky, the end of this week. Now, here's the way it's going to work. There's no announcements for the show except for on Twitter. You don't know where he's going to go next. He's just going to say, hey, whatever city, we're going to be playing there in a couple of nights. Get your tickets now. So that's why it's called the Hit and Run Tour. No real pre-promotion. He's just going to announce it. You go get your tickets, and you're good to go.
I would suggest they could get a better name for the tour, but I understand. Yeah, I understand the concept. I think it'll work, right? You could just have a mass of people show up.
Sure.
I guess tweet and run.
Tweet and run.
Tweet and run might be better, right? We got it. 12 minutes now after the hour. Yes, indeed. It was a powerful weekend, back-to-back events in Selma, Alabama. Maybe the highlight, of course, was Saturday, I believe, with these back-to-back speeches by Representative John Lewis, and who led the first march across the bridge on Bloody Sunday, and then President Barack Obama. Our good friend Wesley Lowery from the Washington Post on the scene in Selma joins us on our newsline this morning. Hi, Wes. You are always where the action is, man.
Always. Although I gotta rewind real quick. Does someone say they like tagalongs as their favorite Girl Scout
tagalongs
cookie?
are the greatest.
Come on.
I agree, Wesley.
What's better than a tagalong?
What isn't better than a tagalong? A Thin Mint.
No, I can't. Come on, that's like a breath mint.
I like those little Thin Mints, too.
Chocolate peanut butter?
They're
What's better
good.
than chocolate peanut butter cookies?
Samoas.
Samoas are delicious. And I don't even like coconut.
in it. It tastes like
Samoas
sauté
are
lotion.
delicious.
You know what? We're going to have a cook-off here, right?
Yeah, exactly.
A cookie-off.
A cookie-off.
Girl Scout cookie-off here.
Forget Selma. There are more important things than Girl Scout cookies being one.
Next time you're in studio, Wesley, we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll do a full taste test. We'll go down the line, have one of each. We'll rank them. We'll compare and contrast.
I happily volunteer.
All right, enough about Girl Scout cookies. Okay, so describe the scene for us there in Selma. I mean, everywhere you turn around, I'm sure there's a member of Congress or a president of the United States or whatever.
Exactly, a big. Huge crowd, emotional scene. One of the things I saw best captured it was a panoramic that was taken from one of the rooftops, and you could see the thousands of people lined up for blocks waiting to cross the bridge. It was a real powerful scene. One of the things I'll say, and it's hard to grasp this unless you're there on the ground, is that Selma is not much has changed physically in Selma. You have a lot of old storefronts, a lot of, it's in Selma. I think I used a line in one of my pieces that it's some of the same paint on the storefronts that MLK marched past. So it looks very old. It looks like a lot hasn't changed. And so to come back, just come back to a place like that and see, John Lewis now being an older statesman, to see a black president in this place that in some ways still looks like it might have looked 50 years ago, it just feels even more powerful. And so I think that Jonathan Martin, a New York Times reporter, described on Twitter this weekend being there in 2007 when Barack Obama and Hillary Clinton had gone, and he described it as you could feel history turning.
Yeah,
and that was, I think, a really good turn of phrase. It kind of represented the way I felt about a lot of the stuff this weekend.
How was President Bush received there? I thought it was very notable that he did show up with former First Lady Laura Bush. I'm so glad he was there.
Yeah, I thought so too, and for the most part, he was well received. I think there was a lot of skepticism of some of the Republicans who were there, and there was 20 to 30 Republicans who were in attendance. But I think that one of the things that stood out was when President Obama in his speech made a very impassioned call that Congress needs to renew the Voting Rights Act or renew Section 4B, the preclearance that had been stripped away. President Bush stood up and gave a standing ovation to that. And
did he really? Wow.
Yes.
Huh.
And so I think that and what people forget is that President Bush signed one of the two renewals. President Reagan signed one. President Bush signed the other.
Good point.
And so the idea of renewing the Voting Rights Act as is was something that had bipartisan support going up until all of a sudden it did. And so I think that kind of I think that made a pretty good impression of a lot of the people there who might have otherwise been skeptical.
Mm-hmm. Wes, we've talked to you on the ground in Ferguson too, and the president sort of directly made the link from Selma to Ferguson. Help us out with that.
Of course, and he brought up Ferguson a few times, and the president has, and this has been since I followed this very closely. It's been fascinating to watch the president of the United States become in some ways more loose-lipped about this. That this was when Ferguson first happened. He was very kind of buttoned up about what he would say and how he would say it. And now to see both him and Attorney General Holder, who is obviously on the way out right now, all of a sudden speaking much more freely about kind of where they think things fall or where this fits within the arc of American history. But the president drew a few distinctions there. The first thing he said, the first comparison he made this comparison that some of the violations in the Department of Justice report, these things the Ferguson PD has done, the way it's treated its black residents, he said it elicits the same feelings of the injustices that spurred the civil rights movement. And so he did draw a direct link, not necessarily to the specific Michael Brown shooting, but to the behavior of law enforcement. He said those are the same types of injustices, or they evoke or elicit the same type of passion or outrage or injustice that spawned the civil rights movement. So that's a big...
That's huge.
A big statement to come from the President of the United States.
And and he, the report, the Justice Department report, details all the ways in which these various police departments, starting in Ferguson, right, have taken advantage of minority citizens there.
Of course, and again, the idea that the police departments are not necessarily prioritizing public safety, rather are focusing on raising revenue, and because of that, that's creating these policies that are racially discriminatory.
Right. And then over the weekend now, as we have the focus has shifted to Madison, Wisconsin, of all places, the Republic of Madison, we call it, and we're proud to be out there on 92.1 The Mic, where yet another unarmed black teenager shot and killed by a white police officer.
And that's the thing to point out. I think that very often, whenever something like this, whenever you have one of these shootings, people say, okay, well, this is the exception, it's not the rule, it doesn't even really happen that often. But what Ferguson and the violence in Ferguson and the police response in Ferguson, what it stripped from us is it stripped from us the ability to feign ignorance. And now the media in so many markets, as well as the local activists in so many markets, are in this sense of high alert. So now we're hearing about every single one of these shootings. So it's not that there's more of them happening than ever before. It's that we're now more aware in a way we never were before. That, a year ago, unfortunately, Tony Robinson is shot in Madison, Wisconsin. Likely none of us here in D.C. or none of us nationally ever hear about it. Because of the events of last year. that's no longer going to be the case, or at least right now, that is no longer the case. When these shootings happen, we're hearing about them. They're getting the national coverage now.
Right. So, is there any effort, any like follow-up to Selma? This is the 50th anniversary. Everybody went down there. We had the big march, a couple of great speeches, and is that the end of it?
I think there's going to be a big, at least especially among the Democratic lawmakers, a renewed push to try to pass some legislation with regards to the Voting Rights Act. You know, I did a piece from Shelby County, which is an hour north of Selma, and that is where the Supreme Court case that undid Section 4 was based. Right up the road from Selma was where the Voting Rights Act was undone, in a cruel irony. And so there's going to be a big push now, I think, the piece of bipartisan legislation to try to renew Section 4, to bring preclearance back. Again, it's going to be hard because the politics of this is still vitriolic. You still have Republicans on the right who are large advocates for voter ID laws and for curbing some early voting and some of the things that have been allowed by the expiration of Section 4 of the Voting Rights Act. And so the politics around it are still a little tough. But, you know, hearing people like, I remember hearing John Lewis immediately prior to this weekend talking about, you know, hopefully we'll go down there and this will inspire our D.C. lawmakers to come back and be determined to get something done. And, you know, I think that anyone who watched the president's speech or will watch any of the speeches from this weekend must admit the power of it, the emotion of it, and who knows what that might have planted in the minds and the hearts of some of the lawmakers who will be coming back to D.C. I'd
feel better about it if John Boehner or Mitch McConnell or Kevin McCarthy or Steve Scalise had any of the Republican leadership had been there, which they were not. Hey, Wes, you're very good to take some time for us this morning. Appreciate it as always. And we look forward to the Girl Scout cookie bake-off here.
Of course. I am very excited.
All right. Thanks so much, Wes. Wes Lowery from the Washington Post, WashingtonPost.com, live from Selma, Alabama.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Here we go, friends and neighbors, again. Time out for a little word about Free Speech TV. This is week 2 of our pledge drive. And first thing I got to say is thank you, thank you, thank you. We had a couple of really good days last week in response to the pledge drive. And we are so grateful to those of you who really dug in and made your pledges. And we want to call on now all the rest of you who didn't quite get it done, who put it off until this week or whatever. Now's the time to do it. Now's the time to show your love for free speech by being as generous as you can. I thought about what we're talking about here when I saw this in the New York Times. Look at this full-page ad about Al Jazeera. You know what that thing costs? I'd say probably $60,000 or more. But you know what this is? Al Jazeera can do this because this is all oil money. This is Qatar. Free Speech TV doesn't get any corporate money, doesn't get any government money from the United States government or any other government, and it certainly doesn't get any oil money. We depend entirely on you, our friends and our viewers, to keep this great Free Speech TV going. So we call on you once again just to be as generous as you can at any level that you can help keep Free Speech TV on the air. Me and Stephanie and Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman and all the rest of your friends, we ask you to do it, and do it today. You know the phone number, 877-378-8669, or you can just go online and make your pledge to freespeech.org. And for your generous contributions, we want to send you a little gift. For example, you can help us with $60 a year. That's just $5 a month. We'll send you a Free Speech TV travel mug. If you can help us with $10 a month or $120 a year, that Free Speech TV travel mug and a Free Speech TV T-shirt as well. You'll be the envy of everybody on your neighborhood with that. $240 a year, that's $20 a month. Get this, a Bill Press Show mug, really fancy item, plus a very special gift, an Equal Exchange African gift box. We worked this out with the nuns who run the Panzi Hospital in the Republic of Congo. Part of the money goes to support them as well. And then that gift box is some coffee from the Congo, some soap, a bracelet, some lip balm, and other good stuff. For $360 a year or $30 a month, you'll get the Free Speech TV mug, 2 Bill Press Show mugs, and that African exchange gift box. And again, if you are doing well enough where you can afford $1,000 for Free Speech TV, you love us that much, get your way to Washington, and Carol and I will take you out to dinner, and then the next morning come in and meet the whole team here and watch the show in our studio. Do whatever you can at whatever level you can, and we really, really appreciate it. Again, we got no oil money. We need you. Phone number again, 877-378-8669, or just go online to freespeech.org, and we thank you and we need you.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Yes, the weekend of the 50th anniversary of the March Across the Edmund Pettus Bridge in Selma. We have another case of an unarmed black teenager shot and killed by a white police officer, this time in Madison, Wisconsin, where there is a lot of response on the part of the community there, a lot of outrage. A big contrast with Ferguson, no violence. The police chief in Madison, Wisconsin, unlike Ferguson, right away came up with the name of the police officer who was involved, admitted that he'd been involved in an earlier shooting back in 2007, I believed. He went out, he prayed with the grandmother of the victim, but still a lot of questions are raised, and most notably, I guess, by Pastor Michael Everett.
I'm tired of going to funerals where young black men are laid out in front of the altar and having to try to find some encouraging words to suggest that everything gonna be all right. I'm starting to feel like everything ain't gonna be all right.
Yikes.
Yeah, I do indeed. We'll find out more about it over the next couple of days, but it is troubling. Because this is not the first time, and as Lowery just pointed out, we might not even have paid much attention to Madison, except it now has really become part of a pattern. And that on top of the Justice Report about the problems with police departments taking advantage of African-American communities across the country. Very troubling indeed.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Here we go, friends and neighbors, again. Time out for a little word about Free Speech TV. This is week 2 of our pledge drive. And first thing I got to say is thank you. We had a couple of really good days last week in response to the pledge drive. And we are so grateful to those of you who really dug in and made your pledges. And we want to call on now all the rest of you who didn't quite get it done, who put it off until this week or whatever. Now's the time to do it. Now's the time to show your love for free speech by being as generous as you can. I thought about what we're talking about here when I saw this in the New York Times. Look at this full-page ad about Al Jazeera. You know what that thing costs? I'd say probably $60,000 or more. But you know what this is? Al Jazeera can do this because this is all oil money. This is Qatar. Free Speech TV doesn't get any corporate money, doesn't get any government money from the United States government or any other government, and it certainly doesn't get any oil money. We depend entirely on you. our friends and our viewers to keep this great free speech TV going. So we call on you once again just to be as generous as you can at any level that you can help keep free speech TV on the air. Me and Stephanie and Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman and all the rest of your friends, we ask you to do it, and do it today. You know the phone number, 877-378-8669, or you can just go online and make your pledge to freespeech.org. And for your generous contributions, we want to send you a little gift. For example, you can help us with $60 a year. That's just $5 a month. We'll send you a Free Speech TV travel mug. If you can help us with $10 a month or $120 a year, that Free Speech TV travel mug and a Free Speech TV T-shirt as well. You'll be the envy of everybody on your neighborhood with that. $240 a year, that's $20 a month. Get this, a Bill Press Show mug, really fancy item, plus a very special gift, an Equal Exchange African gift box. We worked this out with the nuns who run the Panzi Hospital in the Republic of Congo. Part of the money goes to support them as well. And in that gift box is some coffee from the Congo, some soap, a bracelet, some lip balm, and other good stuff. For $360 a year or $30 a month, you'll get the Free Speech TV mug, 2 Bill Press Show mugs, and that African exchange gift box. And again, if you are doing well enough where you can afford $1,000 for Free Speech TV, you love us that much, get your way to Washington, and Carol and I will take you out to dinner, and then the next morning come in and meet the whole team here and watch the show in our studio. Do whatever you can at whatever level you can, and we really, really appreciate it. Again, we got no oil money. We need you. Phone number again, 877-378-8669. Or just go online to freespeech.org, and we thank you and we need you.
On TV and online. This is The Bill Press Show.
You got it. 33 minutes after the hour. How about it? It is The Bill Press Show. We are here in our nation's capital. We are right here on Capitol Hill. And our studio just down the street from the United States Capitol building, brought to you today by AFSCME, the good men and women of AFSCME, the largest public employee and healthcare workers union in the United States, under the leadership of President Lee Saunders. For more information, they're making America happen. Find out all the different ways they are doing so at their website, afscme.org, AFSCME.org. Meanwhile, if you saw any of the Sunday talk shows yesterday, the Hillary Clinton email scandal has not gone away and is not going to go away. Her supporters thought if they just batten down the hatches for a couple of days, it'll blow over. This is not going to blow over. The fact, of course, that she, as Secretary of State, exclusively used her own private email system, which was all routed through a private email server that she had installed in her home up in New York. We talked about it last week. You know my take on this. It is not. She didn't do anything illegal. It is not the scandal that is going to destroy her chances of running for president or destroy her chances of becoming elected president of the United States. But the whole thing is so sloppy and so unnecessary, and it puts her and the Democratic Party and all the rest of us just in a very unnecessary and uncomfortable situation, which is what I resent. And by the way, it still leaves some unanswered questions. Why did she do this? Why the hell did she do this? The State Department has its whole system. There were rules in the State Department saying that employees, everybody, top to bottom, should use the official government email for their official government business. So why did she feel necessary to set up her own system? And having done so, what emails, we know she sent 55,000 pages of emails to the State Department that her staff selected. But what about all the rest of them? Where are they?
Just turn them all over.
Turn them all over. She has not done that. And the State Department hasn't even released any of the 55,000 pages of emails that she did send because they've got to review them all first. It's just so, as I say, so unnecessary. Such a needless scandal distraction. And by the way, and now, I love your take on it, 866-55-PRESS. And now I think what is making it, what is helping the story not go away is the fact that everybody's willing to talk about it except her, right? The President of the United States talked about it. He said he didn't know about it until he heard about it on the news, right? And by the way, it's hard to believe that nobody at the White House knew that she was using her own private email because they were definitely getting emails from her. She's the Secretary of State, for God's sakes. And every one of her emails was from clintonemail.com. Right. It was not from U.S. state or state.gov or whatever it is. Was it? So anyhow, the president himself, I do believe, didn't know. He told us he didn't know. Even her husband, Bill, had a comment yesterday about what he thinks about it all.
My theory about all this is disclose everything and then let people make their judgments.
All right. That's his take. Sure. Disclose, release all the emails.
All of them.
Right. And yesterday, Senator Feinstein, chair of the Senate Intelligence Committee, and by the way, a big friend of Hillary's and a big Hillary supporter, she made the point, at some point, right now, I mean, Hillary, her silence is hurting her. She's got to stand up. Here's Senator Feinstein with Chuck Todd on Meet the Press.
What would you like Secretary Clinton to do to clear this up?
Well, actually, what I would like is for her to come forward and say just what the situation is, because she is the preeminent political figure right now. She is the leading candidate, whether it be Republican or Democrat, for the next president, to be the next president. And I think that she needs to step up and come out and state exactly what the situation is. Some people say, well, she had a server.
You think the silence is hurting her?
I think at this point, from this point on, the silence is going to hurt her.
Yep. Yeah, I couldn't agree more. I think the former Secretary of State, Hillary's got to she ought to hold a news conference and say, here's exactly what I did, here's why I did it, and here's what I'm doing about it now. And I did it for this reason because I don't know. I've no idea. But she's got to have some explanation. She can't say I did it because I was paranoid, or I did it because I wanted to hide or to cover up my emails. I mean, she better have a better answer than that. But explain it and then say, and now I have told them to turn everything over, every last email for those 4 years, turn them over to the State Department.
I think it's
and
odd.
Release them.
I think it's odd that the main defense for this, that a lot of Democratic pundits put out there is, well, no one's going to care about this by the time we get to the election. People aren't going to care. People don't care about this. But if she doesn't put it out there, people will care. People are going to wonder what is in those emails that she didn't release. And they'll worry about that until they get an answer.
I think people care because the reason people care, this added to other Clinton scandals over the years, gives the Clinton haters, and they're out there, and gives the Republican opposition lots of fuel to say, look, you can't trust these people, right? It's just one scandal after another. They always want to do things like their own way and cover things up. What are they covering up? I mean, I had forgotten about this till Dana Milbank mentioned in the Washington Post the records of the Hillary's work with a law firm down in Arkansas went missing.
Yeah.
They went missing for like 2.5 years, and then they were suddenly miraculously found in some closet in the living quarters of the White House. Right? Well, again, so they've survived scandal after scandal after. They'll survive this one. But when you add them all together, unless she really comes up with a good explanation for this, it just furthers that, I think, ability of others again to paint the Clintons as just people who are always trying to find a sneaky way, a sneaky path, or to cover things up. It does matter, and the only one I think who can cover it up is her.
Yeah.
866-55-PRESS. What do you think? Is it going to go away? 866-55-77-377. I mean, you've heard what Senator Feinstein said. Maybe you believe Hillary ought to just tough it out, not say anything, and eventually this thing will blow over. I don't think so. And by the way, Colin Powell yesterday said, he had both. He had a private email account, and he had the official email account. And he used the official State Department system for all of his official State Department email. Seems to me that's the way to go. Again, 866-55-PRESS. What do you think? Hillary, is she out of the woods yet? Or getting in deeper? Let's talk about it.
This is the Bill Press Show.
What gets you into college? Good SAT scores? High GPA? Lots of extracurriculars?
Sure, but what you really need is money.
If you don't have the cash, you'll need a loan.
And we mean huge student loans because the cost of college has risen 1,000% in the last 30 years.
This means big money for the banks that collect fees and interest.
Now, millions of young people are starting their adult lives with an average of $29,000 of loans on their backs.
Altogether, we're talking $1.2 trillion in student debt.
And more people are finding it impossible to pay them back. Welcome to the student debt crisis.
The increasing demand for higher education and cuts to state funding gave colleges a huge incentive to keep inflating prices.
I graduated about a year ago, currently in $35,000 of debt.
I am in debt about like $25,000.
I owe $23,000.
I owe over $50,000 in student loans.
38.8 million Americans owe money on a student loan. And the biggest names in banking are making huge profits off the booming student loan industry. Sallie Mae, the largest provider of private student loans, made $949 million last year.
They only give you about 6 months to look for a job. You have to start paying back the loan. It's very pressuring, especially nowadays. It's very hard to find a job.
Over half of the students graduating in 2012 could not find a decent paying job.
They either had low-wage jobs or unpaid internships or were unemployed altogether.
So you can't make the payments. You start incurring late fees, which makes the loan even harder to pay off.
And it stays with you for years, even decades.
Right now, a third of the people who started repaying their loans are delinquent or in default.
That's 13.7 million people, more than the populations of Chicago, New York, and San Francisco combined.
Worse, it's not just the borrowers who are in trouble. Many loans require co-signers.
So if the student is unable to pay, that co-signer, a father, a mother, or a grandparent, is now on the hook.
Even a grandparent's Social Security benefits can be garnished to pay the loan.
We should have an answer to this. If you get really behind in your car payment or your credit cards, you can file for bankruptcy.
But Congress has made it nearly impossible to discharge student loans through bankruptcy.
Big institutions make big profits while students try to make ends meet under crushing debt.
Is this how we want our education system to work?
The whole point of going to college is to get the career you want, but lately that's been discouraged because no one can afford school. You get a job just to pay off your student loans.
We need higher education, not higher debt.
Sign up to end the student debt crisis at higherednotdebt.org.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello? That's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Two anti-government, self-described revolutionaries have shot up a pizza restaurant as well as a Walmart in Las Vegas.
The internationally syndicated political series, The David Pakman Show, provides progressive talk, analysis, and interviews with the nation's youngest radio and television host, David Pakman. Find out more and catch up on all the latest episodes by visiting our website at freespeech.org.
And, of course, wouldn't you know, Saturday Night Live, they had a couple of great, big, fat, juicy targets this week. Ben Carson was one. And, of course, Hillary Clinton was another. Kate McKinnon playing a mean Hillary Clinton talks about. So, of course, I didn't have any secrets. What do you think they're going to find if they look at all of my emails?
And in emails to Bill, the only thing you'll dig up is a little bit of mature romance. Take a look at this sexy email I sent him on our anniversary. Dear Sir or Madam, congratulations on your continued marital success. I would like to schedule a sit-down at your earliest convenience. Regards, the office of Hillary Clinton.
Yeah, you really think... You really think they're going to find any juicy stuff? And I don't.
I would seriously doubt it.
I don't think so. But the fact is, here's what, I don't know. I have a couple of email accounts, right?
Sure.
Do you?
Yeah. I have one.
Okay.
I know a lot of people have a couple of different ones for different things.
But I think the way to go, if you're in office like that, is you've got your official government email account. And then you've got your private email account.
Yeah, personal private email, yeah.
Not that I'm not saying you're sexting or anything, but just with friends or family, you're not using your government. And your government stuff is all official, and it's all, even if it's meaningless, it's all saved as part of the historical archives.
Exactly. That's part of the issue.
Yeah, and now that is the law. Mm-hmm. But it just seems to me it makes sense. That's, again, the fundamental question that nobody has raised is why did she and her staff think it was important to do this big end run around the State Department email system in the first place? I mean, because it did exist. It's not like the State Department was without an email system.
Right.
They had it. They hadn't had it for that long. As we know, Madeleine Albright said she never sent an email the whole time she was Secretary of State. Yeah. Why?
It just keeps coming back to that. Why?
And
why?
Right. So she has to, I believe, Dianne Feinstein is right. She's got to stand up. She's got to talk about it. Rose in Abilene, Texas. Hello, Rose. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, what do you think?
I think Hillary should come out and give us some type of explanation of why she told she did not use the email set up by the State Department.
Do you think voters care about this, Rose?
Not really. Not really. I trust her, but I just believe that, as Monty Five we used to say, nip it to the butt, nip it in the butt. Just come out and tell us what happened. That's all we want to know.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way to put it behind her, don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely. Rose, good to hear from you down in Abilene, Texas. Here nearby in Kensington, Maryland. Hi, Hal, what's your take?
Hey, Bill, I definitely, she broke the federal regulations. Now, I don't know if you want to call that being against the law. It's a regulation.
You're right. And I think that's an important point, Hal, that there were rules and regulations in place, right, that State Department personnel should use State Department email.
Well, they didn't have to use the State Department email. That wasn't required, but the department has to have procedures in place to maintain on their record-keeping system all emails, and clearly that wasn't done.
That's right. That's a good distinction. You're absolutely right. Yeah, and she did not do that.
That's correct. Yeah. I think the bigger issue, and I did write about, still want to talk about myself, but sending out her pit bulls, sending out people like Lanny Davis and David Brock to claim that the law was murky when it was not, to argue that, well, Jeb Bush did it, nobody's talking about that. I think that makes her look very petty. She could get out in front, say she was very busy, she was dealing with Benghazi, she was dealing with scandals around the world, that she, as Secretary of State, had to address. And she left this to other people would be such a better way to handle it. And she's already given all the emails up to the State Department. They're out of her hands. That would be the best way. But this silence, I think it is a big deal, Bill. I think it feeds into narratives about the Clintons that I think have validity.
No. Listen, Hal. I agree, and I particularly agree with your the Hillary partisans, if you will, or the Hillary supporters, or the Hillary spokespeople don't do it right. With all the excuses that they're coming up with, all the defenses they're coming up with, she's the only one who can really clear the air on this.
Yeah,
she is absolutely
the tortured defenses and explanations.
And as
aren't
Hal
doing her any
said, it is. It's become. I think the longer she doesn't speak up, the bigger deal it becomes. Right. So I don't want to hear from any of these other guys. Whatever. Most of them are friends of mine. I don't want to hear from them. I want to hear from her. Jeannie up in Gary, New York. Jeannie, hey, good morning.
Good morning. Our take on it at home here is that if the Republicans can keep the email subject alive here and keep going after this, they can find more stuff on Benghazi, because Benghazi is really what they want to talk about. So as long as they have emails and they can dig through them, maybe they can find some more stuff. The thing that the Republicans are most scared of in this world is Hillary in the White House and Bill with her.
Well, on the Benghazi thing, Jeannie, I'll tell you, I don't think they're going to find stuff on Benghazi, but I think they can certainly use it as an excuse to keep Benghazi alive.
Keep it alive. That's their scandal of the day.
Oh, yeah, and have more hearings and more rumors and more all that. And the Benghazi thing has been answered over and over and over again. But again, that's why, I just hate this whole scandal because, again, to me, we shouldn't have to be even talking about it. It is so unnecessary. She put us in this position of having to freaking defend it, and I'm sick of it. That's my problem with it. And I don't want them to have another excuse to bring Benghazi back. We've done Benghazi. We know what happened in Benghazi and didn't happen in Benghazi. All right, that's done. But now they have, and they'll take full advantage of it, an excuse to bring Benghazi back with a whole new round of hearings. They'll subpoena everything. They'll send a subpoena out to her, forcing her to testify yet again. And here we go again. Why? Because Hillary chose to have her own private email system. Thank you, Hillary Clinton. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
What the frack?
What the frack?
What the frack?
What the frack?
President Obama, are you fracking kidding me?
Reopen the EPA studies.
In Texas, Wyoming, and Pennsylvania.
Fracking pollutes our oceans.
Fracking poisons our water.
Fracking makes climate change worse.
Fracking relies on toxic chemicals that cause cancer.
Ban fracking now.
Ban fracking now.
Go on. Ban it.
Ban fracking now.
Please.
You wouldn't let money just blow out of your house. So when your AC or heater is on, make sure the doors, windows, and fireplace flue are shut tight. If you're headed out, turn down the AC or lower the heat by 10 degrees. And always keep your water heater set at 120. A little bit of common sense goes a long way. Get more great tips at energysaver.gov.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Two anti-government, self-described revolutionaries have shot up a pizza restaurant as well as a Walmart in Las Vegas.
The internationally syndicated political series, The David Pakman Show, provides progressive talk, analysis, and interviews with the nation's youngest radio and television host, David Pakman. Find out more and catch up on all the latest episodes by visiting our website at freespeech.org.
At Earth Justice, we defend the environment in the courtroom. Join our fight. When you take a seat, you take a stand. Earth Justice, because the Earth needs a good lawyer.
Tune in to Gay USA with hosts Ann Northrup and Andy Hum for in-depth coverage of lesbian, gay, bisexual, and transgender news. Watch Gay USA every week, only on Free Speech TV.
This is the Bill Press Show.
You know what's also strange over the weekend? The 1-year anniversary of that Malaysian Airlines flight.
Jeez, yeah.
1 year later, we still have no idea. No idea what happened.
It's crazy.
And I saw interviews with some of the family members of the victims over the weekend saying, they still hold out hope that they're still alive.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, no, man. I'm telling you. We'll never know. We will never know. President Obama, busy day today. He and the Vice President get the daily briefing at 10 o'clock this morning. Then he's going over to the Marriott Wardman Park Hotel in Northwest Washington to speak to the National League of Cities and their annual congressional conference. And then this afternoon, he will be meeting with the head of the European Council, President Donald Tusk, with the Vice President in the Oval Office. We have our daily briefing with Press Secretary Josh Earnest today at 12:30 p.m. When we come back, Marcy Stech from Emily's List, National Press Secretary, here on the Bill Press Show in studio with us.
This is the Bill Press Show.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
Two anti-government, self-described revolutionaries have shot up a pizza restaurant as well as a Walmart in Las Vegas.
The internationally syndicated political series, The David Pakman Show, provides progressive talk, analysis, and interviews with the nation's youngest radio and television host, David Pakman. Find out more and catch up on all the latest episodes by visiting our website at freespeech.org.
Here we go, friends and neighbors, again. Time out for a little word about Free Speech TV. This is week 2 of our pledge drive. And first thing I got to say is thank you, thank you, thank you. We had a couple of really good days last week in response to the pledge drive. And we are so grateful to those of you who really dug in and made your pledges. And we want to call on now all the rest of you who didn't quite get it done, who put it off until this week or whatever. Now's the time to do it. Now's the time to show your love for free speech by being as generous as you can. I thought about what we're talking about here when I saw this in the New York Times. Look at this full-page ad about Al Jazeera. You know what that thing costs? I'd say probably $60,000 or more. But you know what this is? Al Jazeera can do this because this is all oil money. This is Qatar. Free Speech TV doesn't get any corporate money, doesn't get any government money from the United States government or any other government, and it certainly doesn't get any oil money. We depend entirely on you, our friends and our viewers, to keep this great Free Speech TV going. So we call on you once again just to be as generous as you can at any level that you can help keep Free Speech TV on the air. Me and Stephanie and Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman and all the rest of your friends, we ask you to do it, and do it today. You know the phone number, 877-378-8669, or you can just go online and make your pledge to freespeech.org. And for your generous contributions, we want to send you a little gift. For example, you can help us with $60 a year. That's just $5 a month. We'll send you a Free Speech TV travel mug. If you can help us with $10 a month or $120 a year, that Free Speech TV travel mug and a Free Speech TV T-shirt as well. You'll be the envy of everybody on your neighborhood with that. $240 a year, that's $20 a month. Get this, a Bill Press Show mug, really fancy item, plus a very special gift, an Equal Exchange African gift box. We worked this out with the nuns who run the Panzi Hospital in the Republic of Congo. Part of the money goes to support them as well. And in that gift box is some coffee from the Congo, some soap, a bracelet, some lip balm, and other good stuff. For $360 a year or $30 a month, you'll get the Free Speech TV mug, 2 Bill Press Show mugs, and that African exchange gift box. And again, if you are doing well enough where you can afford $1,000 for Free Speech TV, you love us that much, get your way to Washington, and Carol and I will take you out to dinner, and then the next morning come in and meet the whole team here and watch the show in our studio. Do whatever you can at whatever level you can, and we really, really appreciate it. Again, we got no oil money. We need you. Phone number again, 877-378-8669, or just go online to freespeech.org, and we thank you and we need you.
So, I'm kind of new here, but I've noticed a trend. My human does this funny thing where she goes around and gets all my toys, and then she hides them in that basket by the door. But it's always the same basket, and it's always in the same place. And then she acts so surprised when I find them, but, she's putting them in the same basket. Again. It's like, hello, that's where you put it last time. You were the worst at hide and go seek.
So, same time next week?
Well, of course. Put away a few bucks, feel like $1 million. For free tips to help you save, go to Feed the Pig.
Broadcasting around the nation, on your radio, on your TV, and online. This is the Bill Press Show.
We are all on the road to Selma. We all marched across that bridge over the weekend. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Bill Press Show this Monday, March 9. So good to see you today. Thank you for joining us as we tackle the big stories of the day. Wherever there is news going on here in Washington, D.C., around the country, around the globe, we are there with you. We'll tell you what's going on and look forward to hearing from you as to what it all means from you. Here with you on your local progressive talk radio station, coast to coast, and also here with you on Free Speech TV, coast to coast. So whether you're listening in or watching, we welcome you and look forward to hearing from you. You know our toll-free number, 866-55-PRESS. Use it. Tell us, give us your point of view on the issues of the day. Or send us your comments on Twitter at BP Show or on Facebook at facebook.com/BillPressShow. Peter Ogburn and Elisa Murphy leading our team here this morning.
Hello,
guys.
Bill.
Hey, good morning.
Yes, indeed.
Happy Monday.
Welcome back to the real world here.
Happy daylight saving time.
Oh,
Monday.
don't mention it. Don't mention it.
The worst Monday of all the Mondays.
Well, it's the worst Sunday of all the Sundays.
Terrible.
Yes.
Yeah, no, we hate it. Lisa Cruz is on the phones. Take your calls at 866-55-PRESS. And if you're looking at us, Cyprian Bolding's responsible. Thanks to him for keeping us looking good on the video stream. And, you know, it might have been the 50th anniversary of the march across the Selma March from Selma to Montgomery. 50th anniversary, actually, of Bloody Sunday. But there was another big anniversary last week, the 30th anniversary of Emily's List. And here from Emily's List, National Press Secretary Marcy Stech in studio with us. Hi, Marcy. Nice to see you.
Hi, Bill. Great to see you,
Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you. Happy birthday to Emily's List.
Happy birthday to Emily's List. And back to Ellen Malcolm, the founder, right?
That's right. In her basement at that kitchen table, getting her friends together and deciding they wanted to raise some money for some women candidates. And we got Barbara Mikulski.
Nice. Yeah, right.
Really.
Barbara Mikulski, the very first woman elected to the United States Senate.
Yeah, in her own right.
In her own right.
Yeah.
To the United States Senate.
Democratic woman senator.
Yeah. And I love, just so that everybody understands, Ellen had this vision, Emily's List. Emily, early money is like yeast.
It makes the dough rise.
Makes the dough rise. Isn't that great?
Perfect.
Yeah, and a lot of success since then, which we will be talking about. And of course, yesterday, Saturday and Sunday, the 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday, Selma, Alabama. President Obama and former President George W. Bush both leading the march on Saturday. President Obama giving a very, very powerful speech. He talked, first of all, just about the people who led this march, just being kind of ordinary citizens.
The Americans who crossed this bridge, they were not physically imposing, but they gave courage to millions. They held no elected office, but they led a nation.
Yeah. It was President Obama, the preacher Obama almost, Saturday.
We don't always see that Obama. It feels like it's been a long time since we've seen that Obama.
But boy, he was in great form, had very powerful message. And part of the message was, when you look at Selma, but then you look at what's happened to the Voting Rights Act since, and you look at what happened in Ferguson, and now you look at what happened over the weekend in Madison, Wisconsin, the president was saying, our work is not done yet.
We just need to open our eyes and our ears and our hearts to know that this nation's racial history still casts its long shadow upon us.
Mm-hmm.
We know the march is not yet over.
The march is not yet over. That's going to be the sort of the summation and the main message out of that speech at Selma. So we'll be talking politics, particularly prospects for strong women candidates this year, thanks to Emily's List. And then at the half hour, Wayne Pacelle from the Humane Society of America joins us. But first,
This is the Full Court Press.
Just a couple
The
of
only
others.
place to get your news.
Yeah, that's right.
there.
Yeah, but please don't let me be the only place you get your news. Just a couple of other stories making news out there. Bertrand Piccard and Andre Borschberg just took off from Abu Dhabi. Their aim is to be the first solar-powered plane to fly around the world.
Oh, these are the two French guys. They've done several flights already.
They've done a couple flights. Piccard particularly was on one of the balloon flights that went around the world in 1999.
Wow.
But this is going to be the first solar-powered plane to fly around the world. 35,000 kilometers. It's expected to last 5 months. And they're going to take a dozen planned stops all around the world.
Only a dozen?
Only a dozen over 5 months.
Whoa.
No thanks.
Yeah.
Does that sound horrible? That sounds terrifying. No thank you. Today's the big day for Apple. They're going to be unveiling. I
knew
you had something else to say.
Well, the thing is, we have solar panels on our roof. Okay.
Yeah.
So I just want them to know. I just hope there's no snow. Because when it snows and the panels are covered with snow, we do not generate any electricity.
You don't hustle up there and knock it off of the solar panels?
No.
No? That's weird.
So I'm just saying that those solar panels, they really, really work until the snow covers them.
Oh, man.
So just hope that there's, they don't get in a snowstorm. That's all I got to say.
All right. Today's the big day, Bill. Today's the big day. Apple is going to officially roll out and announce the iWatch, their wearable technology. There are a lot of things that people are going to be looking for in the keynote today on what to expect, because we've been told that the Apple Watch is going to start at $350, but it's expected they're going to have a lot of other add-ons, right? Like different bands and different things.
What can you do with it?
We're not totally sure, but part of it is going to be to monitor your lifestyle. It's going to be act as a pedometer. It can take your heart rate. It can keep information in there about what you eat and things like that.
Can I get rid of my iPhone and just use my watch?
We don't know yet.
So are people going to start talking into their wrists? Is
I
that
hope
how
not.
it's going to happen?
I hope not.
So fashionable.
I know, right?
Yeah,
It's already
should
weird having people talking on their headphones. It's like you kind of think they're talking to themselves. So wrist may be a little bit more natural than.
I just don't. I
speaking into
can't. I'm
their-
not going to talk into my wrist. It's just not going to happen. So maybe if with a headphone attachment or something, maybe. Who knows, man? We'll find out. We'll have all the details tomorrow after we get the announcement today. And today is the day for free iced coffee at Dunkin' Donuts. They have declared today to be free iced coffee day because of daylight saving time. All you have to do is go into a Dunkin' Donuts, tell them that you're there for the free coffee, pull your Marshawn Lynch, you know why I'm here.
Yeah.
And they'll give you that free iced coffee. That's it. No questions asked. There's Dunkin' Donuts right across
I was
the
just
street.
going to say, Marcy, there's one right across the street.
Although
here.
it's a strange choice of iced coffee. I mean, considering Boston's snowfall from this. I mean,
Very
it's,
true.
I feel like maybe
Yeah.
hot coffee.
I don't want
go
iced
for
coffee.
that.
Yeah. If I'm going to get coffee, it's...
But that's very nice of them.
Yeah, sure.
How about you? I want my iced coffee, but I want it hot.
Yeah, right. Can you microwave my iced coffee?
All right. We thank you, Peter. Yes, indeed. So, what are the highlights of the? You had this big gala event Tuesday night with Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. There, more about her later. You look back on 30 years. I mean, what do people say? What are the highlights? So, you have 20 women now in the United States Senate, where before you had none.
That's right. That's right. Well, so as you know, we celebrated our 30th anniversary, 30th birthday at Emily's List, and we had quite the celebration. It was a lot of looking back on the progress that we've made, the fact that we went from 0 Democratic women senators to now 20, and that we've got over 100 women in Congress right now, and the impact that they've made was really about the conversation that we had. What are some of the things that our women senators, the women in Congress, and also women governors, what have they been able to accomplish and fight for women and girls? So it was incredible. Emily's List, I mean, we took over the Washington Hilton for about 2 days. We had several panels. We brought rising stars in. Ayanna Pressley from Boston. She's the first African-American woman elected to the Boston City Council. She was
really?
Yeah,
all
she's
these years?
fascinating.
Yeah. Cool.
She won the Gabrielle Giffords Rising Star Award and gave a speech on stage that blew everyone away. talked about her story and why she has decided to make her focus on women and girls, bringing them up in her community, her focus as a woman in office. So, at Emily's List, we think about, okay, Washington, and we're now looking at the White House, but we have this pipeline of women who are stepping up, who are putting their names on the ballot, and who are getting elected and doing great things all across the nation. So it was a great way for us to highlight that.
Do you think the best person for any office is always the woman, the female candidate?
Well, for us, it's pro-choice Democratic women, yes.
Yeah.
So we have a focus on that. I think that women have an ability to get things done. And I think we've seen that especially in an increasingly more polarized environment here in Washington, that women are the ones to break through. They pass legislation in higher volumes than their male counterparts. They tend to, they end the government shutdown as they did last year. They're the ones being the voices of reason on the DHS funding or shutdown from last week. So I think that, it's not always just a woman for a woman's sake. It's about that perspective, and with so many issues that matter to women and families. So increasing minimum wage, paid family leave. Women are increasingly more the breadwinners of families, so they need to be part of that conversation.
And if you look at a woman like a Senator Dianne Feinstein, a good friend of mine on the Democratic side, or you look at, for example, Susan Collins on the Republican side, I mean, I find that women are also more ready to work across the aisle and try to join forces and get some things done.
I think they would agree with you on that,
problem
too.
solvers as opposed to just partisan hacks.
Right, and I think we've seen that. Again, I mean, issues like military sexual assault. We wouldn't be having this conversation if
Without
it weren't
Kirsten
for
Gillibrand.
and Senator McCaskill. So
Senator McCaskill and Peter, help me out. Our good friend from the Bay Area. I'm just blanking. Congresswoman. Yeah,
Jackie Spear.
Jackie Spear.
Jackie Spear.
Jackie, I apologize, Jackie. God, she's such a good friend too. Yeah, no, she's leading the fight in the House. So, with that 30 years behind you, what are the goals for 2016?
Well, great question. Well, we've got it's going to be the biggest ever cycle for Emily's List because of what we're looking at. I mean, we are hopeful and we are confident there will be a woman at the top of the ticket. We believe that we will have a Senate map that is resting on the success of Democratic women candidates in places like California, potentially Illinois. We've got another race here in Maryland, hopefully, where we'll have some women stepping up to run. So the Senate map, House map, big pickup opportunities. Last week, Emily Kane in Maine, Maine's 2nd Congressional District announced, and that's a huge pickup opportunity on the congressional side, on the House side, but also up and down the ballot. Emily's List, we're very focused on redistricting, which happens in 2020, and we want to make sure that as we look at these state legislatures where increasingly more we're seeing the attack on women's choice, reproductive freedom, and also just their general economic security is happening more and more, we need to make sure that we have women who are stepping up in these state legislative chambers. So we're really taking a strategic focus in 2016. So we'll be a lot more active than we've ever been. And we're excited because women voters are going to be the key across the board.
How far down the ballot do you go?
All the way down to city council races. We've got county board. Right now, we haven't made any endorsements this cycle yet. That will change soon, but we've got a lot to do. And the good news is that we've got so many members. I mean, we're over 3 million members across the nation who want to see more women in office for the exact reason we were talking about, right? Because they know that Democratic women can get it done.
And when you endorse a candidate, right? I mean, that in and of itself means something, a lot. What else does what do you do for these candidates?
Sure. Well, there are several different levels of endorsement, I guess you could say. But when you have the support of Emily's List, that means you have the support of our 3 million members nationwide. And for some women candidates who are running, that's really what they need to know that they've got sisters out there who are sisters and brothers, really, who are out there looking for them. We give our membership information about the candidates we recommend. We bundle money for them so that way they can build resources through our network and our membership. We also have a Women Vote arm, which is our independent expenditure, which is led by my colleague Lucinda Gwynn, who does targeted voter outreach to make sure that women voters understand the stakes in elections. So that can be in the form of television ads or mail. So it really just depends on the race. But at the end of the day, when we make an endorsement, we are all in, and we are with our women till Election Day and then some. So,
do you recruit candidates?
Absolutely, yeah.
You go out and in particular races and look for a good, strong Democratic woman to run.
We have an entire team of folks who are out there on the ground, never in the office, because they're the ones flying around the country and talking to folks. Stephanie Shriak, our president, does a lot of work directly with candidates. A lot of times women candidates, when they're thinking about it, they want to know all the answers. They want to know how it impacts their families, what it means for them, the money that they'll need, the support that they'll need, and we can be that resource. Huge decision.
And training candidates as well.
Mm-hmm. We've trained over 9,000 in the last decade.
Whoa,
yeah,
really?
I know, right?
Yeah.
So, and those are great opportunities for us to build connections in communities, give women the information that they need to know how to win, and then continue to be with them every step of the way.
Right. And so it's 3 million strong, but if you're not yet a member of Emily's List, the way to do so is to go online to emilyslist.org and sign up. And then you get all this information, and you can be part of this great movement, now 30 years strong. Marcy Stech here from Emily's List, National Press Secretary. Questions, comments about a particular candidate, a particular race, 866-55-PRESS. We'll be right back.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Here we go, friends and neighbors, again. Time out for a little word about Free Speech TV. This is week 2 of our pledge drive. And first thing I got to say is thank you, thank you, thank you. We had a couple of really good days last week in response to the pledge drive. And we are so grateful to those of you who really dug in and made your pledges. And we want to call on now all the rest of you who didn't quite get it done, who put it off until this week or whatever. Now's the time to do it. Now's the time to show your love for free speech by being as generous as you can. I thought about what we're talking about here when I saw this in the New York Times. Look at this full-page ad about Al Jazeera. You know what that thing costs? I'd say probably $60,000 or more. But you know what this is? Al Jazeera can do this because this is all oil money. This is Qatar. Free Speech TV doesn't get any corporate money, doesn't get any government money from the United States government or any other government, and it certainly doesn't get any oil money. We depend entirely on you, our friends and our viewers, to keep this great Free Speech TV going. So we call on you once again just to be as generous as you can at any level that you can help keep Free Speech TV on the air. Me and Stephanie and Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman and all the rest of your friends, we ask you to do it and do it today. You know the phone number, 877-378-8669, or you can just go online and make your pledge to freespeech.org. And for your generous contributions, we want to send you a little gift. For example, you can help us with $60 a year. That's just $5 a month. We'll send you a Free Speech TV travel mug. If you can help us with $10 a month or $120 a year, that Free Speech TV travel mug and a Free Speech TV T-shirt as well. You'll be the envy of everybody on your neighborhood with that. $240 a year, that's $20 a month. Get this, a Bill Press Show mug, really fancy item, plus a very special gift, an Equal Exchange African gift box. We worked this out with the nuns who run the Panzi Hospital in the Republic of Congo. Part of the money goes to support them as well. And then that gift box is some coffee from the Congo, some soap, a bracelet, some lip balm, and other good stuff. For $360 a year or $30 a month, you'll get the Free Speech TV mug, 2 Bill Press Show mugs, and that African exchange gift box. And again, if you are doing well enough where you can afford $1,000 for Free Speech TV, you love us that much, get your way to Washington, and Carol and I will take you out to dinner, and then the next morning come in and meet the whole team here and watch the show in our studio. Do whatever you can at whatever level you can, and we really, really appreciate it. Again, we got no oil money. We need you. phone number again, 877-378-8669, or just go online to freespeech.org, and we thank you and we need you.
This is the Bill Press Show.
Here we go, 26 minutes after the hour. Wayne Pacelle, head of the Humane Society of the United States, in studio with us at the half hour right now. We're talking politics, particularly the importance of electing good, strong, pro-choice Democratic women. That's the mission of Emily's List, now around 30 years. Okay, Marcy, the elephant in the room.
What is it?
How bad is Hillary hurt by the email scandal? And have you now abandoned Hillary Clinton as your candidate because she had her own private email account?
Yeah, I'm having a hard time mustering up the belief that this is what sinks everything. I think you have to kind of take a look at this. I mean, there's been a lot of conversation over the couple of days.
Did she talk about it Tuesday at the dinner?
She did not. She talked about her lifetime of service for women and girls. She was being honored with an award. The room was electric when she walked on stage. You would have never known that there was even a story that had ever, questioned any of her background on that. But, here's the thing. It's like you think about, the questions being raised, and sure, there are questions that need to be answered. But you think about American families and, should she take this on and should she run for president? Voters want to talk about issues. They want to talk about what is happening in their daily lives. They want to know what a candidate has to offer for them. And if you listen to what happened on stage at our gala last week, she leaned in harder to women's economic security issues than she has ever done in her, in the sort of pre-campaign phase. And I think that's what voters want to hear. That's what voters are thinking about as they start to frame up and look at 2016. The other hand, you have these Republicans who are running around Iowa trying to pander left and right as much as they can. And I think right now, in this pre-campaign, should she take this on, she's in a really strong position because of her record in service for fighting for women and families.
All right. So while she was there Tuesday night, did she sort of whisper in Stephanie Shriak's ear, yes, I am running?
I did not hear anything along those lines. But I think that if you asked anyone in that room, they are ready and on board. So
and no doubt what she's going to do. All right. Congratulations again. It's a phenomenal record in 30 years, and here's to the next 30. Marcy, thanks so much for coming in today.
Thank you. It's been
Don't
a pleasure.
forget, it's emilyslist.org. Join
This
up.
is the Bill Press Show.
Here we go, friends and neighbors, again. Time out for a little word about Free Speech TV. This is week 2 of our pledge drive. And first thing I got to say is thank you, thank you, thank you. We had a couple of really good days last week in response to the pledge drive. And we are so grateful to those of you who really dug in and made your pledges. And we want to call on now all the rest of you who didn't quite get it done, who put it off until this week or whatever. Now's the time to do it. Now's the time to show your love for free speech by being as generous as you can. I thought about what we're talking about here when I saw this in the New York Times. Look at this full-page ad about Al Jazeera. You know what that thing costs? I'd say probably $60,000 or more. But you know what this is? Al Jazeera can do this because this is all oil money. This is Qatar. Free Speech TV doesn't get any corporate money, doesn't get any government money from the United States government or any other government, and it certainly doesn't get any oil money. We depend entirely on you, our friends and our viewers, to keep this great Free Speech TV going. So we call on you once again just to be as generous as you can at any level that you can help keep Free Speech TV on the air. Me and Stephanie and Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman and all the rest of your friends, we ask you to do it, and do it today. You know the phone number, 877-378-8669, or you can just go online and make your pledge to freespeech.org. And for your generous contributions, we want to send you a little gift. For example, you can help us with $60 a year. That's just $5 a month. We'll send you a Free Speech TV travel mug. If you can help us with $10 a month or $120 a year, that Free Speech TV travel mug and a Free Speech TV T-shirt as well. You'll be the envy of everybody on your neighborhood with that. $240 a year, that's $20 a month. Get this, a Bill Press Show mug, really fancy item, plus a very special gift, an Equal Exchange African gift box. We worked this out with the nuns who run the Panzi Hospital in the Republic of Congo. Part of the money goes to support them as well. And in that gift box is some coffee from the Congo, some soap, a bracelet, some lip balm, and other good stuff. For $360 a year or $30 a month, you'll get the Free Speech TV mug, 2 Bill Press Show mugs, and that African exchange gift box. And again, if you are doing well enough where you can afford $1,000 for Free Speech TV, you love us that much, get your way to Washington, and Carol and I will take you out to dinner, and then the next morning come in and meet the whole team here and watch the show in our studio. Do whatever you can at whatever level you can, and we really, really appreciate it. Again, we got no oil money. We need you. Phone number again, 877-378-8669. Or just go online to freespeech.org, and we thank you and we need you.
The most valuable morning radio show, according to The Nation magazine. This is The Bill Press Show.
What do you say? 33 minutes now after the hour. It is the Bill Press Show here, coming to you live from Washington, D.C., our nation's capital. Brought to you today by the American Federation of Government Employees, the good men and women of the AFGE, keeping our government working. And they are proud to work for America every day under the leadership of President J. David Cox, who's going to be in the studio with us, I think, Thursday morning, as I recall.
Yes, indeed.
For more information about their good work, see President Cox on Thursday or go to their website at afge.org. A big surprise announcement last week from Ringling Brothers and Barnum and Bailey Circus that they are going to stop using elephants as part of their circus act starting in 2018. A big win, big victory for those who believe in and work for animal rights. And nobody does more than Wayne Pacelle, who is the president and CEO of the Humane Society of the United States. Great organization. You should be a member and you should support them all the way. And Wayne, thank you for coming in today.
Can I take you all across the country and have you promote me like this? Thank you very much. Yes. Yeah, that's great of you.
Seriously, you're doing the Lord's work for creatures who don't have a voice of their own, right?
I think that's it. I've always had this passion for animals, and I think so many of us do. You see the innocence of animals, the vulnerability. We talk in military terms about asymmetrical power. One country has great power and dominance over another. This is our relationship with animals. There's an asymmetry. We have all the power. We hold all the cards. We can do anything to these animals. And, we're asking people to exhibit responsibility, to use our power for the good, not for evil.
Now, what do you think of this Ringling Brothers decision? Did you know it was coming, and does it go far enough?
You know, I was stunned.
You've been working on this for a long time.
Been battling against Ringling and the parent company Feld Entertainment for an awfully long time. And frankly, Bill, I felt that this is one of the companies that would be among the last to fall. The CEO there has really been hostile to us and other animal welfare groups. Been a long history of battling. There's been infiltration, a lot of lawsuits, infiltration of animal welfare groups by folks spies hired by Feld Entertainment. So I thought that this would go on for a long time.
Even this day and age, they hire people to join these animal welfare groups.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it harkens back to the early '70s, right? To the COINTELPRO programs and others. But no, I was surprised and pleasantly so. And frankly, the messaging coming out of Ringling was very strong, that their customers were clamoring for change. The world is changing. You know, think about the circus. You know, in the early part of the 20th century, there were pygmies from Africa brought to be displayed in the circus. Also in some zoos in the United States. Otabanga was a pygmy from the Congo, was taken and brought to the United States and put on display. They also had bearded ladies. They had other so-called, freaks that were in the circus. That's not a politically correct term, but that's the way they were described at the time. And animals are part of that continuum. I mean, we're fascinated and drawn to them, not because they're freakish or abnormal, but just because they're beautiful to see, they are exotic, they are different. We are drawn to animals. But the circuses took advantage of our fascination with animals and then put them on display and then had them do tricks. And of course, the backstory is the one we've always been interested in. What happens behind the big top? What happens to the elephants as they're traveling around to 115 cities a year? They're 3 nights in Milwaukee, 3 nights in Minneapolis, 3 nights in Des Moines. They're on chains 22 hours a day. And the only reason that the largest land mammal in the world submits to a 180-pound person is they've been dominated. They fear that person. It's the same with the tigers and the lions and the other wild animals. These are the most powerful animals in the world. They don't submit to any small animal. They kill Cape buffalo if you're an African lion, that weigh 1,500 pounds. So it's done with dominance and fear. And then when you add in the transport, the confinement, the lack of enrichment, it's just, why are we doing this? We've got Cirque du Soleil. We've got so many animal-free circuits.
No animal acts at all, right?
No animal acts. I mean, this is the progress in our society that's occurring.
Well, if they could get rid of their elephant acts in 2018, why not right now?
Yeah, well, that's the question that many folks have raised, and the New York Times editorial on Saturday, I believe, raised that question. Ringling is a very successful company in general. It's one company among many that are involved in entertainment with Feld Entertainment. This is a very well-capitalized operation. They've got 200 acres already. Most circuses that have elephants don't have a sanctuary or a setting for the elephants. So we think they could do it at a much more rapid pace, and maybe the public clamor will cause them to accelerate.
To move up a little bit.
But let's not diminish the significance of this, because some have said, 2018. It is. I wish they were doing it tomorrow, but it's a big announcement. It's symbolically significant for animal welfare. It shows that we're at an inflection point in our society, that we're not going to tolerate these sorts of frivolous uses of animals when we've got something better.
Right. But they're still going to have lions, tigers, other animals?
It seems. And they didn't announce a broader set of policies on animals. It was just
keep
elephants.
The pressure up on those.
I think we will, certainly. I mean, we want to celebrate this movement, but we also want to say, hey, wild animals belong in the wild. And if they're captive animals now, they belong in a sanctuary. The problem with the traveling circus is acute because they're moving. They're going from boxcars from city to city. Where do you put lions and tigers and elephants when they're not performing? You put them in a cage. Or in the elephants, you put them on a chain, in some makeshift tent. I mean, that's no way to live. And we know too much now about the behavior and consciousness of animals. We know from ethologists, Jane Goodall with chimps, but there are people who do this work with lions. There are people who do this work with tigers. There are people who do this work with elephants. They give us vivid accounts of the family lives, the intelligence of these animals, how elephants roam 40 or 50 miles away. The grandmothers and the mothers and the babies live in these extended family groups. They grieve for their young when one dies. They touch them with their trunk. If they've been dead for a while, they pick up their bones. I mean, these are animals with a sense of the past and future. So to treat them just like a little trickster at a circus that's traveling around from city to city, when we've got alternatives, right? I mean, we can have successful entertainment without doing this with wild animals, as Cirque du Soleil has proved.
But even in the wild, and even with all these safaris in this protected land, these animals in the wild are still endangered today, aren't they?
Oh, definitely. I mean, there's been a lot of attention on the issue of poaching, which has frankly been driven by a lot of the terrorist groups in Africa, Boko Haram, Al-Shabaab, the Lord's Resistance, the Janjaweed, are financing their purchase of arms by killing elephants and selling the ivory. Yeah, it's been very well documented. So you have the confluence built, and we've talked about this before, that when you have animals on a factory farm and you're mistreating them, you're also creating food safety problems. When you have dog fighting or cockfighting, you have people who are involved in other forms of violence. When you have elephant poaching, you have people who are destabilizing African governments, perpetrating acts of terrorism. The people who went into the mall in Kenya and shot up, folks, a year, 2 years ago, I can't remember the date, those were folks involved with terrorist groups, right? So it's one day they're victimizing animals, another day they're hurting people. And we see this with animal welfare issues, that if you can do these things to an animal, you will then, do bad things in the broader set of relationships that we have in society.
Most people never could think of that continuum, but it's real.
It's real, yeah. And when you think of the elephant situation, the plight, these incredible animals, and they're a bulwark of the economy of Botswana, South Africa, Kenya. Wildlife tourism is a multi-billion-dollar industry. So if you liquidate the elephant populations, you deny current residents of these countries, the restaurateurs, the hoteliers, the ecotourism operators, of perhaps the greatest source of future wealth and tourism in these nations. I mean, it's not just that we want to protect these animals for their own sake, which you and I would want to do, but they are an economic benefit to these countries in terms of non-harmful forms of economic activity. I mean, Kenya's biggest industry is wildlife tourism. The biggest industry.
Is that right?
So
Yeah,
you destroy the elephants, you destroy the future of the economy of Kenya. So this is why we at the Humane Society say it's not just about animals. It's about building a humane society. It's about building a civil society. It's about having forms of economic activity that are robust and vibrant, but don't victimize the animals, but play on our interest in animals.
It's really one of the ways that we can measure, I think, who we are as a people by how we treat animals.
Because they're so vulnerable, right? I mean, it's
right.
like a child, right? If you can do anything to them, they're a measure of your character and a test of your character. If you're willing to exploit them for whatever purpose, personal gain, whatever.
What does that say about your character? Wayne Pacelle here with us, President and CEO of the Humane Society of the United States. Such important issues and so many dimensions. 866-55-PRESS is an important issue to me and to all of you. If you have a question or comment for Wayne about the elephants or any other animal rights issue, give us a call at 866-55-PRESS. Here we go, friends and neighbors, again. Time out for a little word about Free Speech TV. This is week 2 of our pledge drive. And first thing I got to say is thank you, thank you, thank you. We had a couple of really good days last week in response to the pledge drive. And we are so grateful to those of you who really dug in and made your pledges. And we want to call on now all the rest of you who didn't quite get it done, who put it off until this week or whatever. Now's the time to do it. Now's the time to show your love for free speech by being as generous as you can. I thought about what we're talking about here when I saw this in the New York Times. Look at this full-page ad about Al Jazeera. You know what that thing costs? I'd say probably $60,000 or more. But you know what this is? Al Jazeera can do this because this is all oil money. This is Qatar. Free Speech TV doesn't get any corporate money, doesn't get any government money from the United States government or any other government, and it certainly doesn't get any oil money. We depend entirely on you, our friends and our viewers, to keep this great Free Speech TV going. So we call on you once again just to be as generous as you can at any level that you can help keep Free Speech TV on the air. Me and Stephanie and Tom Hartman and Amy Goodman and all the rest of your friends, we ask you to do it, and do it today. You know the phone number, 877-378-8669, or you can just go online and make your pledge to freespeech.org. And for your generous contributions, we want to send you a little gift. For example, you can help us with $60 a year. That's just $5 a month. We'll send you a Free Speech TV travel mug. If you can help us with $10 a month or $120 a year, that Free Speech TV travel mug and a Free Speech TV T-shirt as well. You'll be the envy of everybody on your neighborhood with that. $240 a year, that's $20 a month. Get this, a Bill Press Show mug, really fancy item, plus a very special gift, an Equal Exchange African gift box. We worked this out with the nuns who run the Panzi Hospital in the Republic of Congo. Part of the money goes to support them as well. And in that gift box is some coffee from the Congo, some soap, a bracelet, some lip balm, and other good stuff. For $360 a year or $30 a month, you'll get the Free Speech TV mug, 2 Bill Press Show mugs, and that African exchange gift box. And again, if you are doing well enough where you can afford $1,000 for Free Speech TV, you love us that much, get your way to Washington, and Carol and I will take you out to dinner, and then the next morning come in and meet the whole team here and watch the show in our studio. Do whatever you can at whatever level you can, and we really, really appreciate it. Again, we got no oil money. We need you. Phone number again, 877-378-8669. Or just go online to freespeech.org, and we thank you and we need you. 13 minutes before the hour, visiting with Wayne Pacelle here from the Humane Society of the United States. Wayne, we have talked before the California legislation on the confinement of chickens, right? And now that bill is now the law of the land in California. How is that going, that whole issue?
It's still in flux. Bill, in 2008, and Peter, we passed a ballot initiative. We put an issue to the voters.
That's right. It was a ballot initiative
of the state that basically said no animals raised for food in extreme confinement. So the laying hens are in these small cages called battery cages. The pregnant sows in the pig industry are in gestation crates. And perhaps the iconic issue of the contemporary animal welfare movement in terms of farm animals, the veal calves are in small stalls 22 inches wide, so they can't turn around. So voters overwhelmingly approved a ban on that to stop production that uses those extreme confinement methods, because animals built to move should be allowed to move. If they've got legs or wings, they shouldn't be immobilized for 12 months, 3 years, which is what happens on some of these factory farms. The legislature then, at our urging, then passed a bill dealing with the laying hens that said if you want to sell eggs in California, if you're an Iowa producer, if you're an Indiana producer, you must meet California standards. Said if you want to sell eggs, you at least have to adhere to the Prop 2 standards on giving the animals some space. So a number of the egg producers and some attorneys general from agribusiness states, so Chris Koster led the fight against us, the Attorney General of Missouri, trying to invalidate that standard, saying that it was a restriction on interstate commerce. So thus far, we've won each court case. The law is in effect, stopping extreme confinement. But now some of the egg producers are saying, well, we're going to give them more space, but not as much as you want it. So they've made the cages a little bit bigger. And we believe the debate was about cage-free. And we're still tangling with them now. But this is why we're urging big food producers, food retailers as well, to stop selling eggs from factory farms that are confining the animals in these cages. So when Walmart, when Costco, when Target, and the other big food sellers say, we're only going to do cage-free egg sales, that's going to change the marketplace. Right. And just last week, we announced that Sodexo, which is the number 2 food service provider, they do cafeterias, hospitals, they said they're going completely cage-free for all of their egg purchases.
Yeah.
And this means that 750,000 hens a year in this country are going to get out of cages just because this one food company, Sodexo, made this very progressive stance.
That's real progress. That's
real progress.
That's really great. I saw in this week's New Yorker magazine this morning, I was just flipping through it, a cartoon, New Yorker cartoon, of a saloon, a bar out in the Old West somewhere, and in the window of the bar there was a sign that said, emotional support horses welcome. We've talked about this issue of emotional support animals. Is it real, or do people overdo it?
Well, I could give you a long discourse on this, but there's no question it's real.
You got 2 minutes.
A connection to animals has been built into us.
Yeah.
There's the biochemistry of humans. We have hormones, and we have other parts of our DNA that connect us to animals. And there's a reason why vets come back from Iraq or Afghanistan, and one of the best forms of therapy is to have an animal. There's a reason at the senior center that people bring animals there. Rehabilitation of prisoners with horses, in our jails or prisons. I mean, this is happening in so many different settings. It's very real. We have a deep connection to animals. It's why 171 million dogs and cats in our homes, they provide an incredible amount of support for us. Now, you can have more active therapy by, when someone has an emotional problem, having an animal, but it's very real. It's the reason why we're so connected to animals in so many ways in our society.
You mentioned during the break about dog meat farms in Korea.
Yeah, well, we have the Humane Society of the United States is the mothership, but we have an international arm called Humane Society International. We're active in 20 countries, and we have been lamenting the killing of dogs for food for a long time in certain countries of the world. In South Korea, we had an experience. There are people who raise dogs for meat on farms, kind of like we have puppy mills in the U.S. And we recently gave a grant to this one guy, and he's converted to a blueberry farm. We brought his animals back to the U.S. and
he's raising blueberries instead of
dogs, and we're trying to convert these because this is the humane economy we're trying to build. Just like you can have a circus that doesn't have elephants, and that circus can be successful. You can have farmers who can succeed by not raising dogs or not raising, pigs in crates. This is why we take a constructive approach at the Humane Society. We're not just saying don't do something bad. We're saying do something good. You can actually make more money doing something better because it more aligns with your consumers' views.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. That's really impressive. That it's not just about putting people out of business, and it's finding a better way to do it. I love that.
Yeah, I'm telling you. Yeah, the Humane Society active on so many fronts, doing such great work. And we're out of time here, but you can find out all about it and lend your own help at humanesociety.org. That's a place to go.
You
right?
got it. Thank you for all of your support of us, to Bill and Peter as well. We really appreciate it.
Oh no, Wayne, we're with you all the way. You're doing great work. Thanks so much for coming in today.
Thank you.
I'll be back. Wrap things up with a quick parting shot.
This is the Bill Press Show.
It is possible to read the history of this country as one long struggle to extend the liberties established in our Constitution to everyone in America. In other words, who, according to our laws and culture, gets to be considered a person? The law creates legal personhood, and movements create law and change culture. So, how have the courts passed laws to shape our culture? That history goes way back before Citizens United. 1819, Dartmouth College versus Woodward, Supreme Court case, turned a corporate charter from a government-granted charter to a contract. This ruling gave corporations standing within the Constitution. 1886, Santa Clara County versus Southern Pacific Railroad. Though the court did not rule on corporate personhood, the decision was subsequently cited as a precedent to hold that a private corporation is entitled to the same 14th Amendment rights of due process and equal protection as human beings. This makes it impossible for us to make laws that treat local businesses any differently than giant multinational corporations, even if their business practices are deemed to be harmful to workers, the environment, and communities, or if they have a history of violating the law. Hale versus Henkel, 1906. The court granted corporations the Fourth Amendment search and seizure protection. Dodge versus Ford Motor Company, 1919. The Michigan Supreme Court says the business corporation is organized and carried on primarily for the profit of the stockholders. Stockholder primacy is established. The purpose of the corporation, according to the court, is no longer to serve the public good, as it had been. It is now to maximize profit for shareholders above all else. Pennsylvania Coal Company versus Mahon, 1922. Corporations get the Fifth Amendment takings clause, meaning if you pass a regulation that impacts a corporation's ability to make a profit, that is deemed a taking, and they can sue for the right to future profits lost. This creates a chilling effect, and local and state governments become much more hesitant to pass laws in the public interest for fear that corporations can claim loss of potential profits that cities and states will be on the hook to pay. Buckley versus Vallejo, 1976. The Supreme Court rules that spending money to influence elections is protected under the First Amendment, in effect saying that money is speech. Citizens United versus Federal Election Commission, 2010.
Today, the Supreme Court of Chief Justice John Roberts declared that because of the alchemy of its 19th century predecessors in deciding that corporations had all the rights of people, any restrictions on how these corporate beings spend their money on political advertising are unconstitutional.
The court's ruling threatens to undermine the integrity of elected institutions across the nation. It's a rejection of the common sense of the American people.
The Parting Shot with Bill Press. This is The Bill Press Show.
Spotlight was on Selma, Alabama this weekend as an entire nation commemorated the 50th anniversary of Bloody Sunday, and leading the march, of course, across the Edmund Pettus Bridge was Congressman John Lewis, the same man who led the march as a young civil rights activist 50 years ago. The only difference, then he was met by Alabama state troopers. This year he was joined by President Obama, First Lady Michelle Obama, former President George Bush, and former First Lady Laura Bush. It was a glorious weekend, but there was a dark shadow over the big event, the fact that the first march from Selma to Montgomery resulted in passage of the Voting Rights Act. Yet now, 50 years later, thanks to the Roberts Supreme Court, voting rights are now disappearing again for racial minorities, poor people, and young people. As President Obama said, we've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. The march goes on. My parting shot for today, folks. Have a great Monday. Come back and see us again tomorrow morning.
This is the
We'll be
Bill
looking for
Press
you.
Show.